Sometimes a story crumples under its weight the more it expands. You don't need to explain everything. Hi, welcome to the Creepypasta Explained video. Hello, hi, I'm May.mkv, and I'm joined by my dear sister, Hazel.
Hi, that's me. I'm Hazel.
From Hazel.
From anime.
Yeah, so if you're seeing this video, it was either in your feed or you're coming directly from our creepypasta retrospective video, which, if you watched it, wasn't a normal one. So we have to make an entire second video, kind of explaining every creepypasta we talked about, what went into making them, and the fun we had making the video.
And I would say most importantly, what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
Because, and we'll get into it, but the nature of this video was such that we had to make up a lot, but we couldn't make up everything.
Yeah.
So we're gonna kind of delineate things for anybody who was confused as to, I mean, both like what the parallels were and also how much of it was actually real to begin with.
Like if Tim Lindsay is a real person.
Right, exactly.
So we spent the last decade, plus both of us combined, really captured by creepypasta. We have spent our entire lives on the internet, so it's inevitable. And this story was...
I wouldn't say I spent my entire life on the internet, but all of my, like, conscious
You're
years...
a YouTuber for a living.
Well, right,
You made up for all the years you didn't spend here by spending way too much time on the internet.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we were originally making a video about creepypasta, but like real life creepypasta, like the ones that exist in like 2021 that really fell apart and never came together. Do you want to go beat
yeah,
by beat?
we were originally going to do that with our friend Neelan, who makes an appearance in this video. In fact, in this screenshot here, you can see different text color.
Yeah,
and
that was the green text.
Yeah, that was noting which of us was going to be covering which section. And like, eventually, yeah, like we'll talk about it toward the end, but the conclusion we came to with that video was, if we can't take a positive spin on things, like, I don't think it's a video worth making. And at that point, like, even though, again, it was just like 2 years ago, internet horror was in kind of a weird place where all we really had were like the kind of like final remnants of like the creepypasta era.
Yeah.
And kind of watching its corpse sort of like dryly shamble across like the concrete.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
all of the big stories were like thoroughly mined and talked about. It was right before people started to search for the like authors and images behind a lot of pastas. And it was at a stage where like basically all of the tentpole online series and ARGs, either their creators or the projects themselves, were like winding down and getting out of the space. And there were a lot of new faces, but not a dominant voice. Like there wasn't one that captured everyone immediately like there was with stuff like Slender Man, Jeff the Killer, etc.
Yeah. But things have changed, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, things have changed. So a lot of stuff in this video that like makes perfect sense to us, but we don't know how it's gonna read to a general audience. We are recording this a few days before the main video is meant to go live, and we're not sure yet if this explained video is going to be a fun bonus for the people that want to like know more about what was real, learn about our process, etc., etc. Or if it's extremely necessary to explain the weird fucking like creature, like the dead bird in our cat mouth that we just delivered onto people's doorsteps.
Yeah. I mean, people tend to like explained videos anyway, so I'm hoping that it'll at least just be entertaining, no matter what it is. So.
Yeah, I hope so, because this video, the one that we just made and the one we're making currently, has been some of the most fun I've had making a thing online. It was like a joy every step of it. Like it came together really fast, and it was creatively electrifying the entire time. It was super fun.
Yeah.
So we talked about this in the main video, but I just want to give a doubly big shout out to Crick which is the whole reason our video exists. His videos are great, and that alternate universe Pokemon Iceberg video is the blueprint.
Yeah, for sure.
It is insane.
Yeah, because I think like a lot of what we were feeling at the time about creepypasta was this kind of like spiraling down the drain of like, we've kind of talked about everything there is to talk about. And this is also simultaneously a problem with like channels or videos that primarily talk about like random video game trivia. Like those things are just kind of a part of the like cultural landscape now.
What was like super important new information in 2010 is now like something that the average fan of that game series knows now, you know?
Yeah. And so as a result, there's kind of nothing left to say. And I think Crick's it really speaks to Crick's imagination, that it felt so like such a natural extension of his love for Pokemon and for creepypasta to make a video that says, I'm just going to fictionalize all of this so that there's more to tell.
Yes.
And I think that's so great and so cool.
And yeah, that obviously ensnared us pretty hard.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd also like to give a special shout out to Auntie, who sent us the original Crick video. When discussing this creepypasta video, at this point, he still thought and he still thinks that this is a normal creepypasta retrospective. But he still said it's gonna be one of Crick's videos, but not as good. And yeah. I'm like I'm having my detective moment where I'm like, does he know? Does Auntie know what we're cooking?
Well, I think in either case, he's right.
He is.
So
yeah. I had a dream like the night after watching that Crick video, because this was also around when we started playing Pokemon Fool's Gold, about like an early horror Pokemon, not ROM hack because it was a real game in my dream, but like after that Crick video, I started to have dreams about alternate universe Pokemon games. And that seed of what would be different in a different universe for all like the fundamental tentpole creepypasta really, really grabbed me.
I think this text here that's a different color was something that we forgot to decide if we were going to cut or not. So we'll keep it in, damn it.
Yeah, so this is something I wrote. This entire thing that we did with the video about like fiction becoming reality has been something that has been like in my head like the marble on a spray paint can. Like it's just kind of rolling around there at all times.
Yeah.
And yeah, the way horror and real mysteries have grown intertwined on the internet out of like a want to give weight to the scary creepypasta fictional stories has left me pretty uneasy. The refusal to let fiction be fiction at its most dire, or like at its kindest, playing into the fears of a story until it becomes something you actually believe. Like, there's a lot of like kick trends in like 2017 where kids like played into the horror until it became quote unquote real.
Yeah, and there are still a lot of really conflicting reports about how real a lot of that really was. And because those people are still young enough that their voices aren't really being heard at full capacity, the way like May's generation is only just now starting to, I kind of think we're not really going to know until people who were playing with that sort of thing are able to speak about it for themselves.
Yeah.
Because like the fear-mongering around it was so intense. And then in return, the kind of like, this is all overblown response was similarly very intense.
Yeah.
So it's all just sort of a little ambiguous right now.
Yeah, similarly intense from like people that kind of didn't want to blow up their spot, if that makes sense. Like, they didn't want too many eyes on it because then it would be all over.
Right.
Like, people would think too much about what was happening, or like try and debunk them more than people have tried to do on the internet, because people try and debunk everything that happens.
Yeah, and as we talk about, I think a lot of the ways that people default to trying to debunk things online gives them credence that I don't think is really deserved in a lot of instances.
Yeah.
Which is also something that we play with in this video later on.
Yeah, and I wanted to play with the ways we celebrate stories and kind of give them weight without like getting too deep into it.
Yeah.
So we sent each other like 30 voice messages the day we started theory crafting this video.
Yeah.
We are so stupid.
Yeah, it really was just us like shooting the shit back and forth and laughing. And then we had a moment after we had been for a while of like, oh wait, this could be like a really fun video to make.
Yeah. Like it suddenly all kind of clicked into place after we were shooting the shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of this video is pretty personal to us because we made all of the stories, or they're analogous to a lot of our favorite stories.
Yeah.
Or, as we'll get into, 2 of these stories happened to me in real life. Like, there's a lot of our like personal like brain mined out and put onto the platter for this video, but we had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, and I feel like if this video had started as a video, some of that stuff may not have shook out quite so, not intimate, but just like sort of pulled from our own lives and experiences. Like I think there would have been more of an obligation to play to, like what the audience wants out of a video like that. But because we were attached to those ideas, we just ran with them.
Yeah, originally we were just joking about these ideas, and then it became joking about like an iceberg format, like the original Crick video. Like, oh, right, how would these stories be layered if they were like layered in the universe they're from? So it's like, oh, SHARETHIS would be at the top, and the Slender Man would be at the bottom. Like that. Yeah, that was a
pretty early idea that we had.
Yeah, that was something that we had a lot of fun with, and then that kind of evolved into, oh, that old video we had, what if we actually did it, but with the stuff that like is flowing out of us right now?
Yeah, exactly. So the edit for this video happened really fast, but it was like a week, maybe like 9 days of like sun up, sun down work where I wasn't really doing anything else. Because while like the edit is really simple, I hold on clips a lot longer than I like to. I'm not being too deliberate about how things match up all the time. There were so many fucking assets that I had to make.
Yes.
But anyway, as for the intro itself, the anecdote about the hanging salami licked hand story is like 100% real. There were a few things that were a little bit hazy in my memory, where I was like, it's not going to make for a more interesting video if I stop and give credence to that.
Yeah. Stop to
I just need to make a decision to tell the fucking story. Or
2005 or 2000.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to give an apology now to anyone that watched the video on an OLED for the chance that the words pulse are burned into the top right of your screen.
I use so much fucking footage from Pulse, but it's such a like beautiful movie that I think really like visually fits with like what we find scary about creepypasta.
Yeah.
But yeah, we originally wanted to not explicitly say this whole video was fake anywhere until the very end, but it just didn't seem feasible, and it seemed like we, no matter how we kind of sold it, eventually we knew that there would be people who would be misled, and that is like the one thing that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's still gonna fucking happen anyway, because people are not gonna read the description or
watch the full video.
Watch all the way to the end.
Yeah, I hope it's minimal.
But we're doing what we can.
Yeah, I was originally like super like, no, we have to keep the allure up, but eventually, like, on rewatch of the video, because we watched it a few times in the editing bay, I was like, oh, yeah, I only know exactly because I wrote half of this video and narrated half of this video, and I have the exact same brain as Hazel. Like, if you're not the two of us, this
might be completely incomprehensible.
Yeah, there's gonna be people that know, like, the very base of creepypasta. They've seen a Slender Man, but not, like, they're not going to immediately parse that the Charlie Brown incident, or whatever the fuck you called it, is fake.
And similarly, I did really start to feel that I hadn't yet successfully sold to an audience of people who just think creepypasta is like funny and cringe. Why I feel so compelled by this stuff, while also being like a pretty diehard horror media head in general.
Yeah.
Like I kind of felt like I had to defend creepypasta's honor a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like even a lot of the kind of like creepypasta like archaeology that's being done has like a sort of accidentally derisive tone to it, which I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Because obviously I love this stuff very deeply, but through like a very, very specific axis that I didn't think I really pieced together until after we had finished the script. I went in and I wrote that that passage about being kind of fixated on the ways people are able to scare themselves.
Yeah.
So it was cool to identify that right there in the spot and feel like, oh, this is something that I can kind of move forward with as like an understanding about myself.
Yeah, I was so happy working on this video, finally being able to like spill out my chest why I love creepypasta as much as I do, because it's like
it's so like implicit.
Yeah, it's something that's been with me
have to actually
for my
write
entire
about it.
life. Like it is many of my core memories are like listening to creepypasta readings while doing something else, etc.
Yeah.
I also have two notes about this slide. One, I really love all of the visuals on this slide, or all visuals that Hazel came to during the edit that we didn't like write into the script.
These weren't things that I was planning at all. I just knew that we needed more visuals.
The Peanuts one was an edit that I made for one of our friends' streams, but we retroactively attached it to this video.
Yeah. The other two, kind of making it was like a fun challenge to make media, like creepypasta media, quote unquote, that I knew would have to imply different levels of relation to the original stories.
Yeah.
So like in my mind, this first one here, the scary car commercial jump scare look
I really
closer
love that one.
I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of like
yeah, I could put a fucking alien in there.
Well, that like weird superimposed face was literally just something I saw.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'll put like a big red like circle over this, and I'll like make the compression really fucked up and low quality so that it looks like it's been reposted a billion times.
Yeah.
And for me, like I didn't think to conceptualize what the fuck the context was. So like it kind of like, it was one of the few times while making this video where I almost kind of scared myself a little bit. Just because I'm like, oh god, like what the fuck does this mean? Like what is this trying to convey? Like why is it doing it in such like an uncomfortable, detached manner? And then the Nintendo Power one, I just had an idea of like, I'll make like a generic scary face out of like a picture of like a Visual K musician. I've already forgotten which. It's in May and I's DMs.
Oh my god,
somewhere.
we just victim wonder ourselves.
It's in our DMs. It's fine.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, oh, it would be interesting if the idea is like specifically in the like fan art submissions.
Yeah.
And like individual copies, like not even issues. They're reports of an apparition, we'll say, that occasionally appears. Because I was kind of just thinking about bloody Gur. Like, watching videos of people trying to find all the instances of bloody Gur in Invader Zim DVDs was like a very, very core memory for me. And I think it just kind of came out of me very naturally to put those images together and hope that they implied something similar.
Yeah, I remember joking with you when you first showed it to me, like, oh yeah, they'd have to be on specific mailing lists to have the face issues, and having to be able to build like that stupid of a world and concept and idea out of a few images is like, I think, kind of my favorite part about this video.
Yeah.
I also have to point out the word pulse is in that Nintendo Power.
I noticed that too. My eyes, I locked eyes with it while we were talking, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah, I just noticed that right now.
Yeah.
So, I I had so much fun going through that town, that part of town in Google Maps or Street View for this video. So the story that I tell about the church, Sunnyside, the girl I had a crush on, the cousin, the Pokemon game, all of that is completely true, except we were searching for Buried Alive. I must have just seen the, it was either like a J-Wits video or a Tamahiro video about Buried Alive, and I knew I was playing the remake, so it wouldn't be there, but I was still like, I let this kid on for like an hour being like, dude, Buried Alive is in this game somewhere. And we searched and searched and searched because I genuinely believed it, or at least as I say in the video, wanted to believe it. It was really fun.
If that's not accidentally this video's thesis statement, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun going through Street View of this area. I found a lot of weird sites. The capture that's on Google in 2011 is around when I was like visiting that place.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a shipping container in a field that I remember very vividly. The Street View did not go far enough, so I couldn't get footage of it. But there is an abandoned house somewhere in a field back behind this area of town that I remember very vividly walking into and seeing one of my friends Blair Witch posing in the corner. And I think that says everything about the person I am today.
Yeah, for sure. I really had fun color grading this to what Pennsylvania looks like in my mind's eye.
Yeah,
I think I kind of matched that, like almost like so green it's a little sickly kind of quality.
Yes. That is what my memories of this place look like. Hazel visited me back in April and took a lot of pictures, including the Smiling Broadly cover picture.
Yeah.
And like that color grading of PA has become my, oh, yeah, that's what PA looks like in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also, when I was looking for Buried Alive, in this video, I said Silphco Experimentation Lab. And that was the first AU creepypasta in the script. Obviously, there's a few earlier in the edit. But that was the first one we wrote in, and I remember we were coming up with it while we were writing. I was shiny hunting for an Eevee in the Paldea games, the Pokemon Paldea games, Scarlet and Violet. And I remember just running around in a circle in Mesagoza and being like, oh, what if there was something in a teleporter, like in Silphco? What if there was a Scary there?
Yeah.
And that felt like the perfect, like something to map on to Buried Alive, because like part of the appeal to me was searching for an hour thinking that you could be making progress, but it's not real, so there is no like progress bar to see if you're close or not.
That's the kind of like gradient between Pokemon creepypastas as like urban legends, on the same level of like the Pokegods or like Buried Alive, or like Missing No. Where there's like that sliding scale of probability there that a pasta like Buried Alive sort of intuitively knew to play into. So yeah, it felt like a
downloading
good,
the transparent Buried Alive for this video, it still has me like, that visual is still so fucking strong.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah. Shoot, I didn't realize this is in the slide. I would have dug up the artist's name. It's in the Crick video.
Yeah.
Which you should watch.
But yeah, the only other thing on this is something I mentioned earlier. The video was written together in a call the entire time. I don't think there is like, I think there's less than 100 words that were written by ourselves, other than like the Wishmaker creepypasta, because Hazel took that on herself. But the rest of it was written in a call together, like 3 days. Like 3 6-hour sessions.
It was 3 or 4.
Yeah,
it was 3 or 4 like long sessions. I think one of them was legitimately like 9 hours.
Yeah, and we had a lot of like huge oh my god, that's it moments on the call. Like there's a lot of bits and jokes in this video that feel very spontaneous and like kind of like they just emerged out of one of our heads because they did. We were just joking. It's like, oh, that's it. That's the path we need to go down. And then I intentionally didn't. I wasn't trying to like write it 50-50, but it just kind of shook out that way, and I'm happy. I'm really happy with how this video turns out.
Yeah. It was also fun to write a collaborative video in a way that people don't usually have the like ability to do.
Yeah.
Because most people who are collaborating with other people, even if they're really good friends, they kind of both have their own workflow together. But May and I do so much together already. On like online creatively, offline just hanging out, whatever, that I think it was a lot more natural for us to weave the script into itself in this way.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this video is that there are a lot of things that are orated by me or orated by you that are written by the other person. And you can't actually fully tell. Like, I can't tell looking back at it a few days removed now. Like,
there are a few where you can kind of feel it. I think if you really know
the Hazel run-on sentence. Yeah,
the Hazel. Yeah, that's basically the signifier.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's one really bad run-on sentence that May wrote, and the rest are all just me being horrible.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun hitting them.
Yeah.
I have not made a video essay in 2 years, so it was, or video in general. I haven't made anything edited other than like stream highlights in 2 years. So it was very fun to kind of drop back into that like writer narration voice. I had a lot of fun making this video.
Yeah.
The peeker.
The peeker. All right, so first things first.
The peeker.
This is weirdly kind of a late addition, because I think as we were developing, like we talk about Jed the Caver, it was my idea that the stories were going to gradually get more and more distant from their originals.
Like,
but that was an idea that only really felt like it made sense when it was something that we weren't going to explicitly say was all fake.
Yeah. Yeah, like SHARETHIS was the original, like, first huge divergence, if I remember correctly. Like,
exactly.
Ted the Caver was the exact same, or maybe there's
like
like one or two
the
details.
names.
Yeah, the rake would have been pretty much the same.
I was always pretty ensnared by the name Whip for the dog.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun elementing that.
It is so it is such like a strange thing to think to name a dog for a story that I think kind of just makes you know implicitly that like that detail is real, you know?
Yeah.
And I one of my dad's friends had a dog named Mute, M-U-T-E. And I remember being so confused by it because I was like, well, that's not like a name.
Yeah, that's a thing you can be.
Yeah, and I was like, what, like on the TV remote? Like, So that name always stuck with me, and I thought the kind of like monosyllabic nature meant that it would be fun to switch those names out just to make it a little bit uncanny. But anyway, the peeker itself, I had gone to a shoegaze concert with a local friend of mine, and I stayed the night at her place afterward, and we. Like, as we were going to bed, because she lives in a studio, as we were going to bed, she randomly brings up like look out for the peeker tonight, and I was like, the fuck do you mean the peeker? And she's like, the peeker is something I came up with to torture a girl that I was dating for a while, where I would say, like, look out, the peeker's gonna get you. Like, the peeker lives here. The peeker's gonna come tonight. And the whole idea with the peeker is literally just that it was somebody, or some, like, creature that would kind of, like,
peek,
hook its head around, like, the doorframe and just sort of watch you unmovingly. And she was like, yeah, like this girlfriend of mine would be, like, near tears. Like, she would be in such a frenzy about the peeker.
The peeker is fucking scary.
It's a scary concept. The idea of something just sort of watching you unmovingly.
Yeah.
And that was so funny.
The word, there was the peeker.
Yeah. And when I told her that I had told you about it, May, because I thought it was so funny, offhandedly, while we were just kind of riffing on how funny it sounded, she said the phrase, the peeker is peeking and the watcher is watching. And immediately I got the vision of like, that's the final line of the story, and stupid people online assume that the watcher is supposed to be a different character.
Yeah.
And that was like the ticket, where it was like, okay, we've got a story here.
So if you keep up with us, if you watch my streams, you would have known that we've been saying the words "the peaker" for like 4 months now.
It's so fucking
Before
annoying.
he even
it has to be
became
annoying.
part of this video.
Yeah,
like it's this video, and a lot of we have a slide for it later, but we are so self-referential that to anyone other than us, we must be the most annoying fucking bitches on the internet.
But everybody loves Gay Otis.
Everyone loves Gay Otis.
Maybe it's okay.
I'm proud we
put Gay
withheld.
Otis into this video.
No, he's real. He's not an alternate universe thing.
He is real. Yeah,
he's real.
That's just what. Yeah. But anyway, we wrote the story. Or rather, excuse me. We wrote in the script the development of the Peakers like lore. But we didn't have any of the 4chan posts that we show on screen written until after the fact. So we were essentially using the script to guideline what posts from the thread we would need to create to flash on screen.
Yeah, so
because everything that we're showing in the thread is sort of presumed to be just part of the equation.
Yeah, so the peaker is our rake XP, as I say up there.
Yeah.
So all of this thread,
and the rake was a creature that was literally just born on 4chan. I think the first post is worded the exact same as in our video.
Yes. Hey B, let's make a monster. Yeah. So when we were making the story of the peaker and how he was born, I was like cross-referencing the origin of the rake, and a really interesting like part of the equation is none of those posts are actually archived to my knowledge, but replies with trip codes are. So what I had to do is, because I wanted the trip codes in the 4chan, that's like the ID tags on 4chan posts.
Yeah, it's you can see in this image here, it's number 1500,000 whatever.
9044, yeah, 944. Yeah. I had to cross-reference those few remaining pieces to Hazel wrote the 4chan post. I wrote some of them, but we went back and forth.
Yeah.
I had to go through modern day 4chan, and I did not know how to use inspect element before this. Like, I knew the very basics of, oh, I can make a tweet say something else. But I had to learn how to like drag blocks of code from other posts on the site and like change file names. Like none of this other than
this was like an all day
it took me a while.
And it came out fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like I think that section looks so much more authentic for it.
Yeah, other than the images in the posts themselves, all of this was done on site. Like all of the replies, all of the time codes, all of it. It was actually so much fun. Like if I bleared the top and bottom half of my eyes, not looking at the real 4chan posts, I was just looking at the sandbox I was playing, and it was very fun.
Yeah. Literally fixing this shit as we're going. So yeah, the peaker image was the first thing, the second thing that we made for this video, and I think it was a visual that I made while we were
on call, very early in the call.
On call to write. I just wound up going, okay, well we need like a visual for the peaker, so let me make this really quickly. So we had the idea down, and I was like, okay, I don't know how we're gonna like make something for this.
Yeah, so
and I was looking at an Olympus camera that I had bought at a thrift store here in town, where I had to buy an adapter that shipped from Ukraine to get the memory card inserted, which is where the joke at the end of the video comes from.
Yeah.
About the actual peaker.
Yeah.
And that picture of Wander, that scary ass picture of Wander I took, Wander the cat that I took while I was testing it out. In fact, I'm pretty sure just off screen is the friend, not that hand is Alyssa's, but I'm pretty sure just off screen a little further is the friend who coined the peaker.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, okay, like this came in the mail, I'm gonna test it, make sure it works really quickly. I snap a photo and then I put it away. So I found that picture, and it was like the first time I had seen it, essentially. Like the first time since I took that picture. Like you can see Wander looks very like weird and fucked up and naked here. It's because he had just been shaved.
Yeah.
And right now he's got like a full coat, so that's how long ago that was.
I love that.
And I was immediately stricken by how scary this picture was.
Yeah.
So I just like erased one of his eyes and then accentuated the glow in the other, and I just made it really dark.
Yeah,
but if you boost the contrast, it is like so obviously a cat.
Yeah.
Like not just Wander, but like a cat. Like it's not a scary image.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of the heart of some creepypasta, and I had a lot of fun making the explained video thumbnail, the video you're watching.
Yeah.
I put the like peeker glow in the text in the middle of the thumbnail, so like there's parts of fucking Wander's internal fucking organs in the thumbnail text because we're so stupid.
Are eyeballs an internal organ?
No, like the way that his fur is glowing, it looks like you
right,
put your hand over a flashlight.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that is exactly that is exactly what it looks like to me.
When we were making this visual, I had previously shot a little half of a short film with my dearling, that's a Pokemon. My dear girlfriend Maddie, who was so brave and played the Peeker. I shot like a tiny short film with an old like moldy alien rake Slender Man mask I had, shoving two shirts in his face, an LED, and like a piece of red. I think it was a safety high-vis vest to make his eyes orange. I put him on a candelabra, and then I shot like a little mini half of a short film where the Peeker was in my house. And the visuals are used throughout this video, and they're used in the Pokemon video that's also on Hazel's channel. And that was like the first time the Peeker was given shape. That was like Peeker Draft 1 before he was Wander the cat.
Essentially, like the Peeker was designed out of what May had lying around.
Yeah, I literally made it on call with Hazel, like, high-vis, mask, light? Is that something?
Yeah, because,
I put a trash bag over his head so his like, shadow would be obscured.
The friend of mine originally described the Peeker as kind of just like she just pictured him looking like Henry Eats.
Yeah.
And originally we were gonna play into that with the Peeker story, I think. Like I had the idea in mind to do basically what we did with Girl in a Birdcage, where it's like the pasta is like obviously inspired by like this like famous like online horror like flash animation or whatever. But because of the short film that May shot, the design had changed so much that we decided to just move it over somewhere else.
Yeah. I would like to give a special shout out to Maddie for being so brave, because she was kind of terrified to be in the room alone, because it's like a big dark room, and she was just sitting there rotating a candelabra to get him in and out of a shot for like 5 takes. I still have that fucking freak, there's a picture later in the slides, in that doorway to that room, so every time I have to go into that room to grab something, I see his stupid head. Yeah, I see the Peeker. And he scared the shit out of me too many times at this point. But I kind of like having him there. It's like a fun heart rate spiker, you know?
Yeah.
Watcher.
Also, I realized, because like we've been riffing about the Peeker with some friends of ours long enough that we kind of came to the realization that the Peeker should have been low to the ground.
Yeah.
Like it should have been like lying, what do they call it, lying prone when you're on your chest?
Yeah. Like I've a visual later in the video for the Peeker is literally just a picture of an LED strip I have that has like a really big red light on it. And we've talked to a lot of friends. There's a Twitter thread that Hazel has that we'll get to later, where a few of our friends actually gave real stories from their life of like a DSi LED or like a PS2 LED. Like a lot of things have red orangey lights and that don't turn off overnight if you don't turn them off.
Which you should probably turn your power strips off every night.
That's good for your power bill.
It's good for your power bill, and it's good for not having an electrical fire.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Watcher.
No, very quickly, I do want to get into.
Oh, sure.
That little screenshot in the bottom left is from that short film. I had to text Hazel at 1 a.m, being like, "Hey, check 4chanx right now. Scroll to the post that says scary thing in corner of eye, and can you please reply the peeker? I don't want anyone replying."
And let me fucking tell you,
the captcha system is
I have not
deranged.
looked at 4chan in probably a decade. I was aghast at how impossible their captcha is. How is any motherfucker willingly using a site with a captcha system that hostile?
It is like
to
Fort
the
Knox.
human brain.
It is like I don't get how people are ruining their lives on 4chan anymore, because I don't get how you post something on 4chan. Like that post that we're looking at, I think took me and Hazel collectively like 25 minutes to post.
What is the difference between your original post and my reply? 1:15. It took 11 minutes.
Yeah.
I struggled for 11 minutes, and the whole time we were thinking, if somebody else replies to this thread, this shot is fucked.
Yeah. Like
So it was really funny to get that in there.
Yeah.
And the image in there specifically is the weird, scary David Lynch woman from one of the Toku video OVAs, or not OVAs, V cinemas.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun having fun with how funny the words "the peeker" is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the creaking was something that I think we just kind of wrote with the idea that it was forgotten. But when we recorded the audio for the video, I couldn't take my headphones off, and they were creaking like crazy. And so was my chair when I would kind of sit back while May was recording. And every time that would happen, I would keep it in the video very faintly.
Yeah.
I don't think you can hear very many of them over the music. But I wanted it to be like, because we're recording like audio, like narrating this, it made sense to have an audio component come back in.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun playing with the idea of elements of stories that were forgotten coming back as these things become real. Like that was a real detail about the peeker, or it became real. And my chair in my house is also naturally very creaky. So it just kind of felt right as the peeker becomes real for me, and SHARETHIS is real for Hazel. I had fun having like the idea that some of these creatures are real and are coming for us or already got us, you know?
Yeah.
There's a shot later in the video when I'm showing off the Slender Man sweater that I own, where I have the short film peeker sitting on like a stool, just in the corner of my door frame. Is you just see like a faint orange light in the background, and I had a lot of fun planting peekers.
Yeah. The Watcher getting co-opted by like Area 51 truthers was a pretty late addition that May had.
Yeah.
That visual is just some fucking picture of an alien that I found on some like insane conspiracy website.
Yeah.
That I just edited to look like a blurry picture of an alien.
Yeah, originally the alien truther thing was what I originally had written for the peeker before we like got into it and made the design and talked about Tim Lindsay, was I was like, oh, the peeker actually never really picked up traction because it was a design that you couldn't easily market. Like it wasn't, you can't put the peeker in a movie because he's not like that striking of like a big budget horror monster.
Yeah,
and so
because nobody, like not even Tim Lindsay, could decide what the peeker fucking does.
Yes, yeah.
When his son watching.
So I had the idea that eventually the people that picked up the peeker under their wing were people that were like just kind of wanted to make it another alien thing because they love to make everything an alien thing.
Yeah. Okay, so who the fuck is Tim Lindsay? Tim Lindsay is the creator of Pop Spirit, the creator of Pokemon, and the creator of Twinkle Park. None of that is true, except for the Pop Spirit thing.
Yeah.
Tim is my lovely friend. I've known him for like 12 years. We go way back. and we used to run an independent music label together for fun, where we released a bunch of our friends' music. We just needed people, and we needed like stories behind who wrote these, and I think the idea to just have it be Tim was sort of like a joke.
Yeah, because he's the creator of
like,
Pokemon.
Yeah, so that specifically came from he managed to come up to see me when I was visiting with May, and he stayed the night at May's place.
Yeah, he's a very lovely guy. The one day I met him was one of the funniest and best days of my life. Tim fucking rocks. Tim
is so goddamn great. I love that guy. And we saw him right like weeks before he moved to Korea to teach.
Yeah,
where he is currently in South Korea.
Yeah, all of those pictures of him are real pictures that we just stole.
Korea, yeah,
that we just stole.
This is like I think this is like the Atlanta skyline, in the cautiously abroad thing, which is obviously an inversion of Smiling Broadly.
We are so stupid.
I just always think about whenever somebody's asked like, wow, like how did you reincorporate so many different motifs into this concept record, it's like you just have to write less if you can bring ideas back up later. Plus you have to write, it's easier. So that was our ethos with that.
Yeah. So when Tim was in my place, it was my first time meeting him. I'd heard of him before. Dem knew nothing. My girlfriend Maddie knew nothing, but we just started shooting the shit with him, and at some point I realized, oh, he's the co-founder of Pop Spirit. What if I had him sign my Twinkle Park tape? And then that bit like fell onto itself and expanded to, oh, that's Tim Lindsay, the creator of Pokemon. What if I had him sign my Mareep card?
Yeah, so that was originally what we were gonna do, is we were just gonna have May flash the Mareep card. But I realized that because we were filming that trip so fucking compulsively, we got footage of Tim signing the tape. So that was where that came from.
We are so stupid. I love this picture so much.
Yeah, so some motherfucking bad egg glitch.
Bad egg glitch.
That was kind of my baby, purely because I just felt like I needed to put something to paper, and it felt like starting with one of our stories was the best shot.
Yeah.
This is like, there are kind of a lot of levels of inspiration that built up to this, but essentially, we really wanted to push the like importance of something like Candle Cove, where it's using the subjectivity of memory for its scares while also using a forum format.
Yeah.
But instead of it being something where everybody in the thread is all like, hey, I vaguely remember this, I thought it would be interesting if this was a story about like two people and a bunch of skeptics.
Yeah.
So that started to build out a little bit, and then during the Pokemon channel streams, when May and I were reading through some of Starbite's creepypastas,
which
the
are
creator
really good.
of Pokemon Dead channel, we really fell in love, in particular, with the recurring feelings of guilt that seemed to come up in those stories. Of aging out of things that were very beloved to you once upon a time. So that was a pretty big component of our influences for this.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. We talk a little bit about this more a little later, I think.
It's okay. We're getting ahead of ourselves throughout this entire video.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this video, or this part of the video, because this is a pasta that I didn't have a hand in writing. I wrote most of Gabbit-rabbits, and Hazel wrote all of Bad Egg Glitch. Those are like the two that we kind of kept away from each other, so we could kind of show and tell when we got to them in the script. And I had a lot of fun seeing Bad Egg Glitch as like a fresh pair of eyes, and what we had talked about, and I was like, oh, this is so fun. This is what I have loved about Candle Cove and Pokemon creepypastas, and it plays into a feeling that I have around a lot of early Pokemon Gen 1 and 2 Pokemon, where it's like, we have discovered everything about those games, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. So yeah, the writing of it was kind of strange because I was writing a webcomic author writing a forum thread of a bunch of different people. So
you were in like 5 hats writing this story.
Yeah. So the idea, the name just kind of came to me as like, this seems like it would be like a weird name that like some like webcomic artist would use, and that nobody would think sounds as weird as it does because we're all just used to saying it.
Yeah.
All the time. So when we needed a visual for Flaggerty, the idea of using Dem came up because he, in this specific photo,
he looks like a webcomic artist.
He looks like he could be a webcomic artist.
He looks like he had a webcomic in 2009 that, like, it didn't spin off a convention. He wasn't, like, Penny Arcade popular. But, like, he had a meetup once in 2010 that was semi-successful. He sold pins.
So as you can see, I edited out the, like, Polaroid, like, color, like, rainbow stripe on the camera here. Because this is, like, a camera you can get at Target.
Yeah,
you know?
this is the Polaroid camera on the 2020s.
Yeah, it's very immediately recognizable. And I know that it still is, even with it removed. But I thought that it was,
it was very funny.
It kind of pushed it over the edge. Yeah. And it took me, like, 3 clicks in Photoshop.
Dem has the sauce for this. Like, he looks... This is one of his favorite photos of himself. I think he uses it as a profile, not on his main Twitter, because that's where he has the picture of us, because he's such a loving friend. But he uses it as the profile picture for his YouTube channel, Twitter. It is, like, a photo that I've seen him use a bunch, so it was so fun to, like, take it and be like, all right, this is Flaggerty. He doesn't know yet. He will know when he sees the video that we used his picture. Tim Lindsay will probably never know that he's in this video.
Yeah, I would be shocked if Tim literally ever saw this, and I have no intention of going out of my way to tell him because I know he'll just go, "Oh, that's funny."
Yeah. He doesn't need to know that
he doesn't need to be
peeker.
concerned with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this story was very natural for me to write because embodying the way that people typed in like 2008, 2009 came very naturally. And in addition to that, I was also drawing upon a literal lifetime of like reading about Pokemon glitches in a world before they were completely understood.
Yeah.
Which is what I wanted to
like the 2010s Pokegod, like starting to learn code execution era.
Yeah. And like I say here, the one thing I did really struggle with was making it scary. Like I guess I said, me saying it doesn't seem like it's supposed to be scary is the kind of like very generous reach that I like making for these kinds of things in reality. So like it's totally just me lampshading, lampshading my failure to know how to make this story sound scarier. But there's like a really fine line that you need to draw between this is plausible and this is like iconically scary, you know?
Yeah.
Like I think Pokemon Creepy Black similarly is not a very scary story when you go back to it. But there's something compelling about it either way.
Like I'm
made
captured
it like the canon Pokemon.
Every time I see like the picture of the cart.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Like so much of it feels like, oh, that could have been a thing that existed. You know?
Yeah. So yeah, that picture of Wishmaker's Game Boy Advance is a photo that I took. That I tried to kind of style as effectively like
you did perfect. It's so yellow
of the time as possible.
Yeah.
I think I even made it a little more yellow in Photoshop.
Yeah, it is. That is my old childhood Game Boy Advance that I actually bought off of the girl in the Sunnyside part of the video.
Oh my god, you did not fucking tell me that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I bought it off her for $25.
Wow.
I was Little Miss Art of the deal. It had roaches in it. It was not that good of a deal.
Yeah, it had a lot of roaches in it. I had to clean a lot of roaches out of it.
They were my roaches, not hers.
But yeah, it was really fun to write all of the characters with unique voices, like unique text tones and text quirks. Like deciding, is this character going to type with like proper capitalization and grammar? like what are like kind of like slightly weird phrasings that I can give these characters to make them feel a little bit more like unique among themselves. So those were the kinds of things that I had the most fun with.
I wanna circle back on this Clef real quick, because it is one of my favorite details in the story, because it is my favorite. Like we have the Pokemon brain rot through and through. It is like deep in the root of our brain. It's taken over our every thought. So there being a Pokemon, the creepypasta, that is just brought up offhand being a transfer from Gen 2 to Gen 3, which is not possible in real life, to be clear.
Yeah.
But that being true in the alternate universe, that is something you could do, was like I was like, it was such a fun little detail when I read it.
Yeah.
I also really love the Nostalgia Forms logo. It is perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, so all of the assets for that was made in Photoshop. I dug up a really, really old way back snapshot of Bogleash's website to use as like a template for like the size of the like screenshots, essentially. Or this like the size of the like components in the web page that the story is told through, and that was really, really fun to make. But also very like it took me like a whole night to make and implement all of the story into that format.
Yeah.
So it was a fun challenge, and I'm happy with how those screenshots came out.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun making visuals, even if they were kind of tedious in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They were tedious in fun ways.
Yeah.
We'll touch on this later, but yeah, there will also be a reading of this pasta, because this is a pasta that a lot of the other ones are written in basically what was needed for the video, and then some of them were written a little bit more for the visuals.
Yeah.
But Wishmaker Bad Egg Glitch was written in full because Hazel wanted to write it in full. So there will be a reading of that.
There were a couple stories that we wanted to write in full, but after I did that one and I realized how long it was, I was like, I don't think I can do that again.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that we just kind of lampshade, like the share this. How I explain share this in the video is basically one-to-one to how it would have been written in the post. Just the tenses changed, and like there'd be an extra sentence tacked on to every sentence that I say. Like, he'd explain a little bit more. But still, this pasta was fully made, so we're gonna do a little reading about it, and it will be uploaded on this VOD channel. Because we are so self-referential, we made an alternate universe thumbnail for Hazel's for Hazel's Pokemon Spaces video.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned it offhand in the video.
Yeah, I was playing with a bunch of different potential compositions for this thumbnail, and I hated all of them until I got the one that I went with.
Yeah.
So these were just preset components that I didn't stick with, for the actual video. So I was like, I'm just gonna compile all of these that I've already done the like cropping work on. And then I made the Corsola yellow.
It's an alternate universe.
To imply that in this alternate universe, one of the other stray things that's different is that Corsola is yellow.
Oh, you know, the yellow Corsola.
Yeah, anyway, Ice Baby Togepi.
Ice Baby Togepi. Ice Baby Togepi? Hi, this is Future May in editing, and we got Bliss's art in after working on this, and I need to show off everything she said about it. It is, as you can tell, fucking amazing. It is like the perfect way to capture all of the ideas that went into the pasta. Hazel described it as selling the thesis that she accidentally stumbled into, and yeah, I'm so happy with it. She left us a few notes about the design of the Bad Egg Glitch creature, and here they are on screen. The glitch parts are from Ivy Store's Crystal Sprite. Many of the drips and general things are designed to look like question marks because of the whole question mark bad egg glitch Pokemon phenomena. And the eyes are half alias, half painted because, in her words, it looks cool. She also took a picture of her bed with a Mew plushie and her dog on it that she edited to be all spooky and scary, and it's supposed to be like a thematic thing because like Wishmaker is sick in bed and the Mew is like maybe one of her favorite Pokemon, 'cause it's a mythical, but also it's like a fetus. It's like, there's like storytelling things here. Bliss, I think, has put more thought into the creepypasta than both me and Hazel combined. She knocked it out of the fucking park. All of the artists did on this project. We're going to show art from Linus later, and she has like the most carefully considered bad coloring on purpose to fit the time. Everyone took the assignments we gave them and did it fucking perfectly. Bliss, Marcy, and Linus are some of the most talented gals I've ever known. Fuck.
Like how Skin of a Rink elicited the exact chemical response in the minds of early 90s kids that initially fired off when their VCRs skipped before them in a dark living room. I think I developed an instinctual fear of this particular kind of deliberately alarming but dubiously vague advertisement or PSA. Like, it is so stupid, but I genuinely did scare myself making this. And like I mentioned earlier, the scary car commercial edit. Just like, what the fuck does this mean? Like, what does this mean? Whose eyes are these?
Know your
like,
rights,
why does this
Hazel?
not look like a real person's eyes?
Know your rights, Hazel. Know your rights, Hazel.
The phrase that I learn more at mymountingsacrifices.org came out of me just like in like we've described parts of this video as coming together in stream of consciousness, but like that in particular, like I wrote it and then I was like,
what the fuck just happened? There's an Imgur album later in this video that like Hazel was getting food for 10 minutes and I was still on the call and I was like, all right, how do I bridge this part? And then suddenly it just fell out of me. In 15 minutes I had a full fucking Imgur album of bunny girls. Making YouTube videos is so stupid, dude.
Yeah. So, for this next slide, I do need to make clear, top image, not me, not my hands, not my SP. I don't know who the fucks that is, but that is a little sprite that I made, as though it was like a fan creation
of Bad English, because we talk about recreations and the recreations in the video.
So there's like a really, it appears like really small in the video, and I don't even know how many people will register what exactly it is. But the image below is me pantomiming, explaining that the bad egg glitch is fake? Or is this the one where I say it's real? I literally don't remember. But I was basically like, I shot it on like a flip video camera, and I wanted to just kind of capture that like a child sort of rambling their way through why they think it's plausible or not. Yeah,
so all of the art that we got for this video, like the Bliss Bad Egg art, the Marcy thumbnail, and the Linus, even the Sticher art, were all made after we had written the video, meaning they were all based off what we said and we weren't writing about the images. The images were based off what we wrote.
Yeah.
Meaning...
And then we would go back in and change some wordings based on the art that we were given back.
So when we were first talking about this video, back when it was still kind of in the iceberg stage of its creation, I got really, really hooked on a specific Pokemon AU idea that, like, I'm not gonna do anything with. I have gotten this bug out of my system, but I kind of want to put it out there into the world, not to see if anyone else will do anything with it, just to see if, like, this is an AU that people find interesting as much as I do, or if it is solely, like, the worst of my Pokemon brain. So I wrote here, I love the idea of Pokemon being a franchise that ended up a fad in the West due to, like, the brand image tightening after the Electric Soldier Porygon incident. The Pokemon Company was established in, like, 2000, 2001, and when that, like, unified brand of Pokemon Company was established, things about the series changed. The need to play it safe started to happen in our real world, and I was thinking about in this AU that being taken to, like, its furthest possible extreme. The need to play it safe would delay the series' debut in the West, meaning that we don't get Red and Blue in 1998, I think is when it released in the real world, making Yellow, which is a game that is, for all intents and purposes, an anime tie-in. Ash is named, there's Pikachu, you catch the starters, and a lot of the allure of Gen 1, like Missing No in his base state, is gone. So the idea of the first Pokemon game that we got in the West being a glitch-patched anime tie-in with all of the rough spots softened, like really captured me, because that would maybe establish Pokemon in the West as like a anime tie-in franchise, the same way that a lot of people view like Digimon or Yu-Gi-Oh here, instead of it being like this wholly unique cultural force.
Yeah.
I think without the mystique around glitchmons, like my idea of Pokemon and the way that the internet talked about Pokemon for the first 10, 20 years would be completely different.
Yeah.
After the release of Gen 2 in this AU, Game Freak would be left in a shaky spot with the transition to new hardware, the Game Boy Advance, like what happened in real life. And I would say that that transition would be like the final blow to Pokemon, and that the Gen 3 games they'd be shown off at like press shows, but they would never actually come out, leaving them something kind of like an internet factoid, like a lot of the ways that like Zelda or Mother 364, like things that are vaguely known about in Japan, and even vaguer knowledge floating around in the West, but like no concrete knowledge about them. Like we don't know too much until in the modern day, like leaks. So my idea for a Pokemon creepypasta in that universe would be a Winds of Regret / Stigmata / Mizu. That is a pasta that is so wordy, but is so fun. It was one that upon revisiting, I had a lot of fun reading. And it really captured me because it is basically just the author talking about Winds of Regret for 20 minutes and then throwing in their little horror elements. And the line between what is actually real, like what is real about this game that we don't know about, and what is real in the creepypastas world is kind of left hazy if you know nothing about these games. And I really like the idea of stories tapping into what the broader culture doesn't know about a game, and kind of sneaking scares in like a Trojan horse, like kind of playing up that mystery. And we come back to that on a few pastas in this video, but that was like the original Pokemon creepypasta that fell out of my head.
Yeah, there was a lot in this video that we kind of instinctually had to go with our first idea on. But simultaneously, there were other parts where we just sort of knew to not be super precious. And that was definitely an example.
Yeah, it was fun to not be attached to things. Like, not trying to fit every single thing that we have in our heads into the video. Just kind of sticking with what immediately feels right and what is like, oh, yeah, that's the path we should take.
Yeah. Bliss has like knocked this so completely out of the park.
Yeah,
we just got a new
5
version
paragraphs when she first sent these sketches, because I was like, oh my god, this is everything. This is, these three are
because
like bad egg
we
glitch.
gave her a horribly difficult challenge. Like, this is like a nightmare commission scenario where I was like, listen, I don't have any fucking ideas for this thing, but what I can tell you is that, I don't know, maybe if it's like coming out of an egg and it's also kind of question mark shaped and it's kind of glitchy, I don't know, can you work with that?
It's like a scary, can you do a
it's
scary?
It's like a scary. Also, by the way, you're playing a character written by a character as narrated by me and May.
Yeah, you're wearing 12 hats, and also please make this creature from scratch.
Yeah, and also make it as iconic as we feel like
would be bad egg glitch.
As it would be.
Yeah, and she fucking knocked it out of the park.
And she's nailing it, because of course she is. Yeah.
I forgot she even included a little smoking fetus on the sketch sheet for me. She really
so
knows
perfect.
us so well.
Yeah. So yeah, in addition, the Jess R that pops up briefly, it happens literally. We don't even have this in the edit right now because we haven't done the final pass yet.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm going to flash that on screen when I'm kind of talking about my interpretation of this story, which is a really weird thing to write. For a different project, I had to. I'm not going to share that. Anyway, there are certain times where you as a writer are forced into a scenario where you have no choice but to compliment yourself.
Yes.
And it feels so horrible.
Yeah, so the Just R screenshot is how, because we had a first pass of the video before we had all the final visuals. All of the final visuals that we didn't have yet were replaced by Ice Baby Togepi, which led to a very fun moment when I showed the video to Maddie. She thought Bad Egg Glitch was Ice Baby Togepi.
Wow!
I didn't even think about it until she said it, and I was like, oh my god, of course you would
That's
think
so
that.
Funny.
See, we had that done like pretty early on, so we showed it to the people that needed to work on stuff for this video. And Bliss, after seeing it, was immediately like, yeah, this was my read on Bad Egg Glitch, and she knocked it out of the fucking park. Like, this is a read that put more thought into it than even I did.
And I fucking wrote it.
Yeah, it is a very, very, very strong interpretation, and I'm very happy that it can make its way into the video.
If we had the time, I would have created more connective tissue there.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's such a strong reading. Because like in the writing, I tried to make it clear that Dex is like not quite washed up, but is like clearly like more content to kind of stew in like, yeah, man, like when I was making it as like a journalist, you know. But I would have, I think, pushed that maybe even a little bit further if I had been thinking about it with this interpretation in mind.
Yeah, I was really, really captured by what she said, and I'm so glad that we could get her. The screenshot is Hazel copying what Bliss said into a separate Discord chat we had just for mocking up visuals for this video. So like our profile pictures have been like 5 different things in that server, because I had to play some Feaster. There was the other stuff that we were doing. There was like 12 different profile pictures and name changes we had to have just for like screenshots or brief snippets of video.
Yeah. And then obviously the name Jess R is Bliss's character in the Marcy's Gmod stream,
which is
we
amazing.
Have talked about at length already.
Yeah. That hit us after our like exported draft of the video. Meaning we were watching it like 2 or 3 days after we finished the vast majority of the video, like, oh my god, we have to redo everything and talk about this right now. And I'm so glad we could put it up again.
We found the right way to bring it in.
Yeah.
So we've already talked a little bit about the real creepypasta that inspired us, so I think we can just leave this slide on screen for a couple seconds and then move on.
That Marcy art is taking forever to get here.
Oh,
it's so big.
But yeah, the Kill Switch was the other one that we didn't quite bring up. I remember reading Kill Switch for the first time while walking the path home from school that I mentioned, from high school, that I mentioned at the start of the video about walking in the dark. I was somebody had recommended it to me, and I was like, oh shit, I totally missed this pasta. And I read it on the original website and just did not think to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
And like, if I had known about all of Invisible Games sooner, would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah,
But sadly,
I only discovered the rest of Invisible Games stories like a few months back. And it was the first like true spark working on this video where it's like, oh, this creepypasta, these stories must have surely inspired so many that I fell in love with, but I just didn't know they existed. I wonder how true this is elsewhere. Like, how many stories are so important that, like, we just never thought to include in the broader cultural canon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna very quickly say it. SMTF Incident is a creepypasta that is like Winds of Regret, where it's like it's mostly describing what happens in the game, but like juicing in some horror elements. If does it a lot more. It becomes a full creepypasta game. But I had a very, very weird moment recently revisiting that creepypasta where I first learned about Megaten, which has become one of my favorite franchises, where I was like, oh my god, I know more about SMT If just because more of the game has been translated than the person who wrote this creepypasta.
Yeah.
It was such a weird feeling, and it is something that has been kind of like I've been flipping in my head as we worked on this video. Like the idea that how information is becoming more and more broadly known. Like channels that used to be able to just read a Wikipedia article now have to hire translators and find magazines from 30 years ago to get a new fact.
Yeah.
Broadcast yourself.
This is your baby, start to finish.
It
like
is.
if Sticher was kind of like majority my execution, our conception. Broadcast yourself is entirely you on all fronts.
I had so much fun making everything for this video. I remember I first pitched it to Hazel on the call where we made...
specific section, you mean?
Yes, broadcast yourself.
Yeah.
I first pitched it to Hazel on the call where we were making the Share This beast. Hazel was in Photoshop, and I was wrapping up the last 5 hours of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And I remember just walking in what was like a shitty swamp area. And I was telling Hazel a story from my childhood about how I got a virus trying to pirate Slender the 8 Pages, where it activated my webcam and it took pictures of me. And then it tried to like tell me, we're gonna send these to the FBI if you don't do this, or that. And then I was thinking about early YouTube. Like I think the conversation shifted and we started to talk about username 666 and Mordegar Glazgorov, and I was thinking about early YouTube's catchphrase, broadcast yourself. And then literally like a light bulb went off in my head where I was like, oh my god, people totally would have thought that there was a webcam on YouTube and it was like broadcasting you. And I had so much fun writing this story. I was able to hit my stupid like creepypasta narration voice for this one. I had so much fun making this one. So yeah, the May virus story is entirely true. I got the FBI money pack virus. The visual, I made this. It's not the virus, I just grabbed one that would be more fun to edit.
Well, yeah, because the real one is like, upsetting.
Yeah. It's very upsetting. So I wanted to have fun with it instead of like putting a real scary virus on there.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun being very, who would have guessed it, self-referential here on this visual.
I mean, we keep saying that, but it's like all of our friends.
Yeah,
mostly.
yeah.
Like you know.
Like Real Scary is a game made by an early Xbox Live Arcade horror game creator that I played on stream recently while I was playing FNAF fan games. That like really charmed me. I fell in love with it immediately, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's the game that I was pirating. Also, I was pirating Mario 4.
And then the dumping group that pirated that is a reference to a good friend of ours.
Yes.
And then Barbie Horse Adventures is just a modern classic.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I had so much fun writing the text for this. There are a few parts throughout all of the visuals that we made for this story that I would make a typo and I would go to correct it and I'd be like, no, if it's better if there's a typo there. Like some of the 4chan posts have typos in them.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think you added a few typos to them because I wrote a few of them a little like too cleanly.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun making the Outback Steakhouse visual. I had a lot of fun making everything for this video. This video was fun to make.
Now for something that I think especially needs stressing. Just to be 100% clear, drifloontheater is not based on anyone in particular. It's just like a genre of internet guy.
Yeah.
The username is inspired by May's first screen name.
Yeah.
Which we're not gonna say.
Yeah. I used to.
But that's as
put
close as
too
it
much
gets.
of my. I wanted to be like a big cool creator, so I had theater in my name because I was such a dumb little kid.
Yeah.
But like Pokemon name or like video game name, theater is like such a vivid type of guy in my mind.
It feels right. Like it feels like a kind of guy for sure.
We weren't thinking about Drifloon was just the first Pokemon that came to mind. We were not thinking about the connotations of Drifloon being like the kidnapper Pokemon and like the missing person Pokemon. Yeah. Until deep into the edit where we're like, oh my god, that accidentally works really well.
Yeah, yeah. The Drifloon Theater was originally quarantined to the section at the end, but it felt more right to start that seed earlier when we were talking about the like Halo 3 footage.
Yeah.
And that was what led May to, for some fucking reason, buying the Master Chief Collection and then spending the money to change her gamer tag
to Driftfleet Gamin.
That was and then also there's that bit where we flash on screen like this is the real hacker. That was an actual hacker.
Yeah,
that
so
May just happened to play
I had to play
in like the 30 minutes she was playing.
Yeah, because there aren't many visuals for Share This. There wouldn't have been. There would have been a comment beneath a Shane Dawson video. For Broadcast Yourself. For Broadcast Yourself. So I was like, oh, what would a video of this time have? Oh, it would have Halo 3 gameplay, because of course it would. Yeah. So I had to change my Xbox gamer tag, because that's how the Master Chief Collection works, even on Steam. And I ran into a hacker while playing it, and it was such like a, oh my god, we could put this in the video moment. Like, it was so fun to have an excuse to, one, use Halo 3 footage to kind of pay homage to that type of guy, but also like kind of relieve this part of the edit. Like, you can just use Halo 3 footage, and we can say in universe, this is Drifloon Theater's video, just without his commentary.
Yeah, which is why you captured it at 720, and then I blew it up to 1080.
Yeah. We spent like 5 minutes looking for his profile picture, and I really like this card. I cannot fucking believe in 2008 they named a set Stormfront.
Unreal.
There he is.
There he fucking is. This is the first thing that we made for this video all the way back in May. Based on a scary dog that we saw on Craigslist during the last day of my trip in Pennsylvania.
On that last day, we were sitting on the couch and I just opened Craigslist, I think to look for a car.
Yeah.
And I got to the pet section and I saw like 4 or 5 dogs that immediately captured my mind.
Yeah.
And they've become part of my life through like stream bits. I have an ongoing Twitter thread where I just post Craigslist dogs, because I'll just randomly open the app and be like, all right, what freaks does it have for me today? And this dog right here scared the fuck out of me when I first saw him, because...
Caution, do not send deposit. Caution, do not send payment or deposits without seeing the pet first. Scammer don't care. There are no dogs as pictured. These people take your deposit, and you will not get a new puppy because you have just been scammed. That is the text on the Craigslist post.
It's the same thing as Know Your Rights. Like, it's the sort of thing where it's like, oh my god, what did I just stumble into?
And this is like a scary looking dog.
Nonetheless, before you even fucking make him into a smile dog.
Yeah. Which was an easy thing to do. So easy, in fact, that after we had made it and kept this image under wraps, I think 2 people saw this image for the first like 5 months that we had created it. And yet somehow Bliss, as a joke, started to make a scary edit of this dog.
Yeah, the left one is so fucking funny. I love it.
Yeah. And then this image on the far right here was basically just like as far as I could get like the tone of the image together, just through like fucking with color curves.
Yeah,
and then after that, I would start
I want to quickly see like we finished it at like 12 in the morning, at least on my end.
Yeah.
The part of the Craigslist dog that really captures me is like the kind of indeterminate background. Like there's a chair to
Yeah.
the right of its butt that you can't see, but you'll see later. That like you kind of can't tell what the like. It's not immediately a chair, and in the edit, it kind of looks like a hand, like the original Smile Dog. But yeah, that chair. Yeah, SHARETHIS is I think my baby. Like I they're all my babies. I love every pasta that we made for this video, but SHARETHIS was like, I love Smile Dog so much. So I wanted to try and pay it as much honor as I could.
Yeah, I think we both agreed that Smile Dog is like probably the like best creepypasta.
Yeah, definitely one of them.
At least the best like mainstream one.
Yeah. Yeah, we also had a few jokes on calling it a dog originally that we kind of not took out, but like kind of scratched off, because I do really like in the initial Smile Dog pasta the fact that it's not a dog and it is just says that it looks like a dog.
Yeah.
Like there's two Smile Dog images. There's like the red one and then there's the husky. The red one is the original, and the creator was very explicit, like, yeah, it looks like a dog, but it isn't. So it is funny how over time through edits, it just became a dog, you know?
Yeah.
After ruminating on what we loved so much about Smile Dog, we tried to crack something different enough that kind of falls into the same grooves as that original pasta. The idea of someone who sees a chain email and clicks it with like disregard for their own life and fear and like gives into spreading that harm. The idea of like Smile Dog is an image that takes over your life slowly and drives you to death over time. Whereas the kind of idea behind SHARETHIS is that it's an image that takes you over so fast before you can even realize what's happening, and it just wipes you out for a year, leaving you kind of like in a state where when it has you, it could be doing anything with you, quote unquote. Like you could be sharing it, you could be like, you could wake up in a motel in a year on the side of some road with no clue what just happened to your life. And I had a lot of fun twisting what Smile Dog does and what ours could do. Because I like the idea of the slow burn being contrasted with kind of like a shotgun blast, where it's like, it happens,
Yeah.
it's over, pick up your pieces, try and figure
It's like
out what happened to you.
If we consider Smile Dog as like a very sort of deep-rooted depression, I think SHARETHIS is kind of more about like almost like a kind of psychosis.
Yeah.
Which feels very sort of like classically horror.
Yeah.
Which was what made it fun to incorporate.
Yeah, the part of it that really stuck out to me is like, it's kind of like that when you're so deep in the hole that like that kind of life-destroying mania is suddenly so appealing.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do. Like, it's no longer something out of your it's no longer an impulse that you're trying to stop. It is something that you're giving into. That was something that I really liked. But I also liked not being able to remember it. Like, just kind of ruining your life, waking up and being like, what the fuck happened?
So, when creepypasta becoming reality became part of the picture, which it wasn't for a long time, the blank here became like a pretty obvious parallel that I mean, not really my character per se, but just
you
that
and
in
the
this
AU.
universe,
Yeah.
I would be affected by it, and that is why I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Because nobody has reintroduced it to me. And yeah, like we said, Smile Dog is like unbeatable. So we kind of had to take it in a different direction while still having a lot of the same beats.
Yeah. The final
Which
stinger...
I think is why it didn't feel right to actually write the entire story.
Yes.
Because it would have been too similar.
Yeah, the story that we wrote was just what we wrote for the script. Like, I was sitting there kind of like, oh, how would this
basically
story...
just wrote a summary.
Yeah, I just wrote a summary
that was
for the story, and that was the story. I wrote, like, the last paragraph, and that's quoted in the video.
Yeah.
And that, we were kind of struggling for a bit to find the ending to the video, and it kind of came to us when we were thinking about, like, the OP, like, the writer of the pasta in universe and their actual like position on the image. The ex-post writer seemed like the type of person that was more of like a paranoid investigator type, someone that like kind of wants to get to the truth of something that's bugging them, or like that they can't stop thinking about, not someone that wants to cause direct harm. It's someone like kind of putting the ability to do harm on the table but not giving into it quite yet.
Yeah.
And so that being immediately contrasted by, you know, the way the internet and people and 4chan works, with someone seeing that image and immediately removing personal choice from the equation and making it so anyone that sees the thread will see the image, felt like the perfect horror stinger, to me at least.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about these stories a lot, had a, the words trip sitter documentarian have been floating in my mind.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that, like, if we didn't need to get this video done in the next couple days, like in the grand scheme, if we had had more time, it would have been funny to put this in as like a Marble Hornets to Slender Man equivalent.
Yeah, like a Marble Hornets EMH thing, where it's like, I was really grabbed by the idea of a web series or something that happens in universe, but a duo of guys intentionally exposing themselves to share this with like one closing their eyes, and it's like a pure document this other person for a year to see what a blank year is like.
Yeah.
And that really grabbed me. I really liked the idea that a lot of early EMH plays with, where it's like they're poking fun at something until it pokes back.
Yeah. It was I think the one thing about this section that rings in my mind a little bit is there's a lot that we left unsaid about the pasta's impact within this AU.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the room, because of the way it was written, where we wanted me to just like immediately
cut me off,
dismiss
get the
whole
fuck out of
thing.
here. Yeah.
Like I don't want to think about this anymore. Like I don't want to draw more attention to the fact that I should absolutely know this and I don't know why I don't.
Yeah.
So that kind of denied us the opportunity to talk about its impact. Where like I think you know, you could draw some kind of parallel to people sort of like almost like pretending, like faking it until they make it, that they are in like a blank year themselves.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But there just wasn't really any room to get into that kind of thinking.
Yeah. I mentioned it on one of the earlier slides. I also liked not showing. This part of the edit is very, very sparse with visuals other than like gameplay, because we didn't want to like share this immediately. Like the punch
like throughout
of
the whole
image,
video we only shared this image like
twice,
2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it's once
and
at the
one
end
is
of the
at
section.
like 1% opacity.
Yeah, it's like very vaguely there. It's kind of like the Crick Smile Dog video. I first watched that video on OLED TV, meaning I had perfect blacks, meaning there's an editing choice that he does in that video where he starts the Smile Dog image at like 1% opacity, and as he's reading the story, it is slowly crawling up and up and up. I remember I was like cleaning my house that day, and I looked to my TV, and I saw the impression of it, and that is the most scared I've been by Smile Dog in 10 years. Like that sudden, oh my god, I can see it, like really spoke to me.
I totally forgot about that. So that thing at the end of this video was kind of just like a riff.
Yeah.
You know. So it was funny that it shook out.
Yeah, it looks so
way.
much more like a hand now that I'm looking at it. Oh my god, I love this image so much.
I really like this image.
He's our baby. We find him so cute because like no one that makes a horror project is scared of their monster by the end of it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I was never like, we were laughing through a lot of this
because
of
cute.
the ridiculousness of making it, of like taking these real photos of human teeth and like overlaying them on top of like a dog's
we found
mouth
on the internet. Yeah.
Like the comedy of it was never not apparent.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love how his body is just kind of vaguely there and vaguely not.
Yeah,
It's
the kind of shape of it reminds me of like the David Bowie Diamond Dogs album cover, where he's like this horribly deformed, like it's like an ugly fucking drawing of Bowie as this like half dog creature.
Yeah. That's a fucking insane pull, but I see it completely. Yeah, this picture, like I love this record, but this fucking picture is like,
it's awful. It is truly awful.
I got this record at a work Secret Santa once, and I had to just lock eyes with this fucking album cover.
Good God.
Steven
the fucking Stitcher.
Steven the fucking Stitcher, dude.
Originally we were just going to call Steven Jeff the Killer, but every other detail about it was going to be different.
Yeah.
Which is where the Jeff the Murderer joke came from. But yeah, Jeff the Killer is maybe only rivaled by Sonic EXE for most bafflingly popular creepypasta. So the inherent comedy of it being the poster child of creepypasta by children for children really needed to be tapped into. Same with its insanely convoluted history and reaching to uncover the origin of the Jeff the Killer image. In a sense, it was almost a fantasy that Steven's origin is so clear in the video's timeline. Although in reality, literally today, it was made more apparent to Maya and I that we're really, really close to finding it. Like we as like a culture, an internet collective.
Yeah. Like as we work in this video, we talk about it in the video. Victim 1, the Mario image was found, and that was like a huge moment for both of us as we were like writing the video. And as we're working on this, Blame It on George had a video come out talking about like bounties in lost media, and watching it and learning more about the Jeff the Killer image search had this like deep feeling in me where it's like, we are like a month or two out. Like, I don't know if that's actually true, but it's the feeling I got. Like, we are close to finding it. We are 2 steps away from finding the
I have a feeling
Jeff
that video is going to
image.
be the final push.
I think it is too.
Yeah,
I jokingly called it to Hazel the one piece of lost media. Like, the physical one piece, the treasure. Like, it is the thing that people have been looking for over a decade. I remember videos about the search in 2013. Like, it is...
yeah, I remember when everybody was under the impression that it actually was a...
girl who died. Yeah.
Yeah, but it actually... Yeah. And then before that, I remember when people actually thought that the Sessoir story was real.
Yeah, there have been so many stories for Jeff the Killer's image, which is so... It's the internet, like, in a nutshell.
The Jeff story and image both have origin stories that are marked by a lot of obvious lies. Like, again, I can't believe anybody ever thought that the fucking mask story was real. Like, of course it's photoshopped. What do you mean you're trying to pass that off as a latex mask?
That's what latex looks like, Hazel. Don't think about it too close.
Yeah, it looks like the fucking Photoshop smudge feature. But yeah, a lot of those lies wound up managing to wrap people up and wasting a lot of time on leads that could never pay off. And so I considered throwing a false lead or two into the Sticher story, but I think this already has enough meta layers for one lifetime.
I had a lot of fun with how just funny this section is.
Yeah.
Like, I had a lot of fun just doing a comedy section.
Yeah, this is like the section of the video. We'll get into it.
Yeah, I do say I had to make the Snopes edit, so I made sure to credit it to a character I played on one of my streams who was like a divorced bitch who wanted to play the new Zelda game, and she named herself after Link. And again, that is self-referential. The rest of them are our friends, but that one is purely, I want to reference something I've done because I am a freak who cannot handle.
You need a name. Where does your brain go?
The names
Something
I've already
come up with.
Yeah.
So, I don't even remember where the horrorcore rapper part came from. I think I just wanted to make something really edgy in that similarly juvenile, over-the-top way. So as soon as the word horrorcore left my mouth, though, I literally interrupted myself to say, May, we have to ask Thor to write a song for this.
And then he fucking did!
In like 45 minutes, because he's one of the most insanely fucking prolific and talented people that we know.
We DM'd him in a group
That
DM.
motherfucker told us yesterday that he forgot he made that track.
Yes, we were literally talking about like, oh, yeah, our next video. And he's like, what video? The video you did a fucking song for! He is that, like, it just happens, and it's good.
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
We hit him up, and he had it out in 45 minutes, and it was good. It was, like, perfect for what we were going for.
Yeah. So I made the album art during the edit while I was falling asleep at my desk, waiting for a load of laundry to finish in my apartment building's laundry room. I just used a bunch of random images and vague ideas. I was just Google searching, like, meat texture, skin texture, like scary cemetery, and then just kind of fucking with it in Photoshop to get it where I needed to. I didn't really have a composition in mind at all until I was putting everything down. I'm not sure how clear it is that the like silhouette in this image is like a guy wearing a hoodie, kind of like turning away from the camera.
Yeah.
And then Gino, who did not know what this video was about at all.
Yeah, most of our friends, except for the art friends, do not know what the fuck the video that they contributed to is about.
Yeah. So we just made him record his fucking Fubar 2000 visualizer. And you can see Lum faintly in the background.
I fucking love Gino.
His Fubar skin.
I love Gino so much. Oh, here it fucking is. The Sticher art. Oh my god.
Yeah, all of the Sticher art. Like, it really made me happy how much fun Linus had with these.
Yeah.
Because,
she gets it.
She gets it, yeah.
She fucking gets it.
She essentially had to, like, de-yaoi-ify him up to a point.
Yeah, because the point that I gave her specifically was, you drew the first piece of Steven the Stitcher fan art that, like, tapped the yaoi vein, but didn't, like, dig for oil.
But, like, not all of the yaoi elements were, like, codified.
Yes, yes. You were, like, the inciting incident.
Yeah, so, the three of us agreed that the final art needed to really reek of 15-year-old with a cheap drawing tablet and a beat-to-shit Windows laptop. And as she was working on the final piece, Linus joked that she had to actively unlearn how to render in order to get the style just
and
right.
I want to go back on it. It's fucking perfect.
The spray paint, the use of the spray paint tool is so fucking elevated.
The way you can, like, barely see his fucking facial features in the shading on the bottom right one.
Yeah.
She's rocking
she's rocking the Tails Gets Trolled shading style.
Yeah, no, there's
so well there.
I, like, sent her exact, like, late TGT panels being like, you did it. You had it. That's the sauce. I'm also, like, really grabbed by that main Steven image, like, the top one on the top right. Like, it's
the one
still
with the
really
thread?
striking. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it's great, yeah. So on that note, the detail about Steven stitching his victim's skin into his hoodie was based on the patches that Linus originally drew on the jacket. And I was like, that is such a fucking cute visual detail. But it needed to be taken over the top so that it's almost like an unintentionally cute bit of iconography. So I was like, it's gotta just be skin.
Yeah.
Like in these like dumb like patches.
Yeah. He's literally like, he kills one person, he takes like a little snippet.
Like, a little bit.
And he adds it to his coat. So when we were telling her about the yaoi boy, and she drew a gaunt, gray, thin, wispy-haired murderer guy, both of our brains immediately started flashing, oh, Komaeda. She has not played Danganronpa. She has no fucking clue about Komaeda.
Yeah, so the fact that like something about him has like innate like primordial like yaoi
in his soul.
Yeah. That Komaeda is like the like implicit touchstone, or like something Komaeda-esque is like an implicit touchstone. It was really important for me to talk about creepypasta fujoshi.
It was my favorite part of the video.
A real thing.
I really love this section.
Yeah,
it is just us firing off like the funniest things that came to mind.
Yeah. I specifically like remember in like 2014, 2015 seeing like maybe even a little earlier, seeing like the kind of like creepypasta fangirl archetype sort of be birthed, where it's like, you know, they're drawing like fucking like Slender Man hanging out with Jeff the Killer.
Yeah, and then they kiss a little bit at the end.
And they kiss a little bit at the end. To like in like 2017, I was like, whatever was good with that fandom. Like, are there people who like have commented on or done like dives on why that happened the way it did? Because like obviously like intuitively I know why.
Yeah, as all
curious,
things loved by teenage girls, it was immediately the things that people got the most derisive and awful about.
Exactly. So when I went to look back on it, I was like, who the fuck is like, well, I like fucking like Timmy. What like there's so many of them now. Like Clockwork. Fucking
Tiki Toby.
Yeah. Who
the fuck are these freaks?
Yeah, who the fuck are these freaks? And it was very immediately apparent that these characters were being written so that there could be more
boys kissing
Wattpad
boys.
Fodder.
Yeah,
exactly. Which I think is
like,
so beautiful.
That's the whole point of Jane the Killer. It's so like Jeff has has this one straight girl.
Yeah, who's every single reader's self-insert.
Yeah. And playing with that was a lot of fun. Getting to talk about creepypasta Yuri, I had so much fucking fun making the image for the double dial DD. We're so stupid. Stacy the Sticher, like Wattpad screenshot. I had to like make a Wattpad account, write that whole thing, and then I edited in a popular Jeff the Killer Wattpad stories stats onto our story. So like if you find this story in the real world, because I think it is up on Wattpad, it is just a one-page thing saying, sorry, this was just for a visual.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of fun writing that description, being like, oh, what would a young girl making her first fucking Yuri story about two creepypasta creatures be like? She's in college and there's a mystery and there's an evil guy and then there's a hot girl and...
I honestly want to read this, like, to be perfectly real. So weirdly, Sticher's idiosyncratic way of speaking came really naturally to both of us. Despite only ever writing from his perspective during the edit and completely separate of one another.
Yeah.
In kind of a mad dash to fill some more visual space.
Yeah.
The MySpace page for Sticher was an old Internet Archive page that may inspect Elemented into something usable.
Which is a pain in the ass, because MySpace looks completely different now, and like most pages aren't archived. So what I had to do is like find a 2009 version of MySpace on the Internet Archive, scroll through a bunch of accounts, and then immediately, like quite immediately, I found a person and their background was these skulls, and I was like, oh my god, that's Sticher.
Yeah.
So I just had to like, I had a lot of fun filling out the details of the guy Sticher.
Yeah.
I liked writing through his voice, like how he would talk about his tracks, how he would describe himself, which is lustful, I guess. I liked lying for him. So we talk about it in the video about how he's from like the Netherlands, I think.
Yeah, we just say he's Dutch.
Yes.
Offhand.
Yes.
Yeah.
But his like horrorcore persona is lying about being from Illinois. So I put like Arlington Heights, which is a random city in Illinois that I picked. But if you can scroll down from the status section, I put like Elmhurst, which is like a famous scary city or whatever the fuck. I put like what this guy would immediately grab for to make himself look cool.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to write his like relationship status, what he's here for, blood, death, and friends. And it was so fun to pair all of that to my friend Dem's face once again.
Yeah, which was a late addition. I dug up that photo of him that he had taken, and I put a little peeker eye in the background to kind of tie it into the one of the excerpts of one of two versions of the Stephen the Stitcher story. So my idea was like, Stitcher's like dumb enough that he's like hand typing out the story each time he's posting it somewhere.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't think to go back and like copy and paste it.
Yeah.
And that break in the middle where it just like completely breaks is like, as I was writing it, I deliberately broke from the Stitcher character just to see if anybody would notice that that it was
there
suddenly breaking into this totally other thing.
Yeah.
But then I decided it would be funny if I tied that into the little Stitcher, or sorry, the little peeker eye in the background.
Yeah,
of the Dem
there's just
picture.
happened to be a door frame in the back of the Dem picture.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun finding a second place to put Dem. We almost had a third place for him, but
we couldn't find a third picture that looked like a different enough guy that we could pass it off.
Yeah, like Tobey Maguire emo Dem and webcomic artist Dem are like two different people in my head. That's Stitcher and that's Flaherty.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really fun to write this whole section. Like this is where I felt like this and the actual Wishmaker pasta itself felt like the places in this video script where we got to imbue a lot of character into the subject that we're talking about, and kind of like narrativize this person's weird little impact on the internet.
Yeah, I liked making the authors people.
yeah, and that I think the most fun I had with that was in the Stitcher section.
The Stitcher podcast
like, I felt like we painted a pretty
has me still
pretty
cackling.
Vivid. Yeah, I think we painted a pretty vivid picture of just what a weird fucking guy this is.
Yeah. I also had a lot of fun. This is something that's never brought up because it's not important. I had a lot of fun getting the chance to date the creepypastas, like date what time they took place.
Yeah.
The codes of the 4chan thread, I tried to set it, and I think the month that the Rake thread happens, maybe a little bit later. I liked setting this MySpace snapshot of Stitcher being like right after the Halloween October-November season, where presumably Helen the Mind would have came out. And I liked later in the share this, like being able to put direct months to when stuff happened. It doesn't add anything other than kind of building the timeline.
Well, I think it is
vividly.
Also helpful to continually reinforce that we're functionally going a little bit chronologically.
Girl in
this
the
is all
Birdcage. So we presented this story the way we did so we could comment on lost episode pastas. We kind of realized, not late into the video's production, but like as we were writing, lost episodes were kind of an integral part of creepypasta, but aren't something that we were originally going to touch on.
Yeah, we just kind of couldn't really find a way to make it feel distinct. Like every idea that we had was just like, it's just a lost episode pasta.
Yes.
Like this isn't something that would change the course of how many there are in the world now.
Yes, yeah.
And so we kind of had to compromise.
On one of our writing breaks, I like watched a bunch of like popular lost episode pastas. Like the one that specifically grabbed me was Crybaby Lane, which is a story that was written before that movie was released, or re-released.
Re-released, yeah.
Yeah, and something like very solid kind of formed in my mind as I was listening to it. Like, a lot of the people that made lost episode pastas were people that are like very passionate about TV production or media production in general, animation, and like have seen behind the scenes stuff and know the names that work on like productions. They've seen the credits, but they don't actually know what it's like in a media production environment. So like they'll attach names to like, this one guy came into the office and said this, and that, and that's why there's a bloody SpongeBob. Instead of it being like, in reality, what if there was a bloody SpongeBob in a TV show, like 6 months of like collective discussion and hierarchies and like checks and balances and et cetera and et cetera and et cetera. So I really liked Girl in the Birdcage being a story written by someone that knows a creator's name, some popular Newgrounds creator, and liking their work, but not really knowing what would actually go into them creating something.
Yeah. We forgot to bring up the actual fake lost episode pasta, because it came so late into the edit that I just now remembered that the glitch in the middle where we cut to the bit from the Marcy's Gmod stream was literally just to stitch together a bad segue, or like a segue that just wasn't playing in the video script after all. So originally, before we added the Red Man section in the break there, I was just like, I'm going to act like this line that we've written is a segue into talking about a lost media, or a lost episode creepypasta, of fucking Utena, and then immediately cut away from it. Like, for some reason it had to be cut from the video. It's like a sloppy cut, which is why
the transition is so rough between the two segments.
May is like midway through saying "girl in the birdcage" the first time. And the reason why I put Utena there, just in case this isn't something that everybody knows who's watching this, people are constantly asking me to watch that show and talk about that show. I'm just not interested. So I have fun playing with it every now and again.
You know what I am interested in? My dear friend Skungo the Monk.
Yeah, everybody loves Skungo.
Nino is the funniest motherfucker ever, and I was so happy that we could base a fundamental big Newgrounds creator off of our friend Nino, because he does have that sauce.
Yeah.
That fucking worm is like a picture he drew in 2020 that has just lingered throughout our lives.
It's just stuck around.
It's an old friend at this point.
Yeah.
The only reason this fucking story is in this video is a soft launch on a maybe completed, maybe not lost media search that is part of my life. The girl in the birdcage story is real, like partially real. In real life, it was a game that a friend mentioned to me in class. He was from Nepal. He mentioned hey, May, you know about video games. Do you know about this game? I think I played it on my computer in 2010. And I had no fucking clue what he was talking about. And it has stuck with me for a long fucking time. Because, I had talked to him about horror games before, stuff that I knew was real. And suddenly he just hit me with, hey, I remember playing some PC, maybe Flash game, maybe executable game, where there was a girl in a birdcage and there was a big bird and it was scary. And immediately, the visual of a girl in a birdcage was oh my fucking god, that is some game that exists, surely. And surely scared tens of hundreds of kids and is known by other people. And I've been searching for it on and off for a few years now. And I might have found it, I might not have. There's the problem.
I think I'm pretty sure that you did.
The problem is that it's a second-hand story. I never saw the game, so I can't be the one to confirm if a game is that or not.
But yeah, so just to reiterate, because this is a little bit confusing. In the story, Girl in the Birdcage is a fake Flash animation. In real life, it is a real but unidentified video game. It might be a Flash game. It might be a an executable.
Yeah.
So where is this picture from, May?
This is from Escape from 26, I believe. I was looking through tip of my joystick where I used to have a post up here about Girl in the Birdcage, but I must have pulled it at some point. But luckily, a few other people have thought of a game either similar to this or the game. So there have been a few games that have been floated. Some of them don't fit the time frame, some of them do. But that is a screenshot from Escape from 26. Other games like Neverending Light or Tormentum Dark Sorrow, I think that game's a lot more recent than the dates that I have. But there have been a few Birdcage games that have been floated. And I sadly can't confirm any of them, but I want to be able to find it eventually. And in the story, I heard about it again. In real life, I never heard about this game again.
Yeah,
but in the story, I heard about the animation months later. And that accidentally played into the idea of thinking something into reality. Gabbit-rabbits.
So, May, you know what I realized?
What?
You didn't fucking finish this section.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's one other slide, and I am making it as we speak.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, I'm kind of rushing to put this together.
Pause
No. Fuck it. We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. This is a VOD.
Keep speaking.
Gabbit-rabbits is our take on general gaming creepypasta. Probably the one that is most one-to-one to is Ben Drowned, but I wasn't pulling like everything from Ben Drowned. It's not like a haunted video game, but the idea of like a yard sale, someone telling you not to play it, etc., etc., etc. But this story is also playing with the ideas of plagiarism in creepypasta, which was, in real life, one of the first big scandals to really set creepypasta on its way out the door. One of the, like, huge tentpole stories, 1999, had a plagiarism scandal. And that, like, ensuing copyright war, like, what story is the original, who wrote what, etc., like, kind of blew up that space in a way that it never really recovered from.
Yeah.
People got scared of reading certain creepypastas after that story.
I think the unfortunate reality is that was the point where it was no longer financially, like, the smart thing to do to read creepypastas on YouTube.
Like,
because if this could happen to one story,
yeah,
you know, like what's gonna stop it from happening?
So it moved to shit like No Sleep entries that were all like spec film scripts already, you know.
Yeah.
And I also, again, this is the pasta where I was like, I want to put everything that I thought into one thing. This pasta also was playing with the ideas that I described during my Pokemon AU and all the pastas that inspired me. One of both of our favorite games, separately, is Rule of Rose. And I was reading a really good write-up about that game's controversy. Basically, it was like misreported on in the media to start a scare about its contents, about it being like a child abuse game. And that, like, fucked over Rule of Rose. Like, it got a very limited American release. It didn't get released in some territories because of the controversy. And that is the reason that game now costs $700, and no one can experience it without emulating it, which is such a shame because it is such a good game. So the idea of a game that was, like, kind of lost to time due to controversy around it also was something that was, like, floating in the back of my mind for me.
Yeah.
And all of that was so lovingly complimented when we were talking on call about gaming creepypasta, and Hazel mentioned an idea that Alyssa has had floating around for 3 or 4 years.
For like 5 years.
Yeah. So when I was being described this concept, I was, 1, very captured by it, but 2, hearing it through Discord compression, and also Alyssa's kind of a naturally quiet person. And I didn't want to interrupt her because she didn't have the headphones on, so she wouldn't have heard my futile screams to go back. So when she was recounting the idea to me, I misheard it as gather rabbits, and I misheard the character dynamics. Like, I filled in my mind that there was a mother character that was, like, shitty to Gabbit, and there was, like, this whole emotional core to the edutainment game that was building up to the line that Alyssa had, saying you have to be a big kid, even if it's hard. And so in that moment, I accidentally spun an entirely different version of the story, like, as I was transcribing it. And when I showed what I wrote to Hazel, she's like, that's not what Alyssa described. So I accidentally managed to AU the story, like, when I was transcribing it.
Yeah.
Which is such a funny fucking way for a part of the video that is about people taking other people's stories and changing them to either punch them up or make them their own or bury the original story. It was a very accidental, like, little coda to that story.
Yeah. So before we go to the next frame, it's gonna get really bright for a second because this page of sketches is in light mode and the rest of this is in dark mode.
All right,
so prepare your eyes.
Bam, baby!
Bam! Yeah, so these are Alyssa's initial page of sketches after she jotted down her ideas for the story. For like the story and like the way the game would play out. And then that entire page, that entire document of notes that she had, it was like a whole outline, just got fucking deleted. And, you know, with it, essentially, so did the story, as it originally was planned to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We deliberated over which one kind of had the best feel for this kind of story. And we decided
the wave one is really...
the far left.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so fucking dyslexic. The far right, the far bottom right. Good lord.
You're okay.
Anyway, so hi.
Hi.
We're now looking at some of the screenshots that I made. This
These
was
are
like
awesome.
Again, this was all stream of fucking consciousness. I did not plan any of these until we were in the edit, and I was like, we just need more visuals for this.
Yeah.
So I had to do that thing again that I had to do a few times throughout this video, where I had to create a bunch of elements that were between other assets that I wasn't showing or that we hadn't written.
Yeah.
So there's something funny that happens in this where I have two versions of all of these screen caps saved right now. And some of them are like scaled up kind of just like haphazardly. And they look shitty. And then other ones are scaled up nearest neighbor. And that was a deliberate decision that I made to slightly visually distinguish which of these are the re-upload, which would be using just like saved images.
Yeah, straight
and the
story
original.
writer and one is fan.
Yeah. Which was using just like
so the idea there was I really like the idea of a lot of the like not shitty, but like a lot of the gaming creepypasta trends that became the things that people immediately made jokes about, coming from someone taking their own spin on the story and then spinning out and fucking up so bad. Like, trying to make new visuals and them kind of being a little trite with, like, scary, evil eyes. And kind of missing the point of the original story, making themselves the narrator, having a big murder scene at the end.
And then also removing a lot of the subtler elements from the story, like the Dad's abandoned amateur radio transceiver, is like a weirdly like high concept joke essentially to put in there.
And it's something that the Gabbit writer, stray story writer, would have never. They just saw it and were like, "All right, fuck that. I want to do my thing. I want to make bloody eyes.
I want to do my thing." Like, yeah. So, the two title screens essentially were sort of inspired by the idea that stray story writer wouldn't have access to the specific font that the Gabbit-rabbits image uses, because that is Alyssa's handwriting.
I was wondering. That's really it's a really good font.
So I literally just downloaded a different picture of a house and then posterized it instead of using the Photoshop like dithering algorithm to get it to look more like vintage or whatever.
It's like the myhouse.wad poster without swag. Like, it doesn't have the striking image of a house. It is just a house.
Yeah. So the visuals for this were all really, really fun to put together. Like the chalkboard image and the way the text kind of like barrels over it.
Yeah. Very Tales Gets Trolled-esque.
But yeah, so the top middle picture here is May's actual honest to God childhood bathroom.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Shower. And then
you heard us talk about the roaches earlier. You can tell what's good there.
In stark fucking contrast, the picture in the right middle, the "Hi again, it's me, your old pal" image. The background is my grandparents' old house. They had this very beautiful backyard that had like a lot of flowers that my grandma really, really cared about. If you can see, there's like kind of like there's like a kiddie pool at like the bottom right of the frame, and literally pixels away is baby Hazel.
How different our circumstances are.
I mean, look, you know,
they aren't.
My grandparents had that house was like built like when they bought it. It was being built.
Yeah.
It was like an insane situation.
Yeah, it's the sort of old people luck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's old people, GI Bill,
yes.
everything.
Yeah.
You know? And anyway, the visuals that I used otherwise were just like images that I downloaded, except for the very last one that is in the bottom right. The sky is a picture that I took like a decade ago in my hometown. That I superimposed really over just some other random image. And I immediately felt very, very stricken by how it came together. And I joked when I made that, like this is what like the fucking like trauma core kitties would have bonded with if this were
a real pasta. Yeah. I like a lot of what I wrote for Gabbit and Gather, especially Gather, was like all of my love for Rule of Rose, 1999, all of that. And like I just really, really loved the idea of a minigame collection having this like weird undercurrent story and its big climax, like a story of child abuse being running away. Like you just need to get the fuck out of there, and it's gonna be hard, but you have to be a big kid and try and start a new life. And that paired with these visuals, like if Gabbit-rabbits was real, it wouldn't have been lost. It would have been so strong that people would have made sure that it was something that stuck around for a decade plus. I am really like smitten by all of the shit that went into Gabbit-rabbits, Alyssa's visuals, your visuals, the character of Gabbit. Like I really, really loved this section. I really love everything that we worked on for this video, but like it's one of my favorites. Yeah. I think it's this and Wishmaker for me. No motherfucking Nomadic Man. Jesus Christ.
Literally just started with me genuinely finding this picture of Joe from Ashita no Joe kind of like weirdly scary in a way that I thought was really funny.
Dude, it's
like,
so
like this is peak, like anime really did not look like anime all the way until the 80s, you know? So I tweeted about it offhand, and I think literally like as I was writing the first tweet, I came up with the addendum of like, this is something that would have like a fucking like 400,000 views YouTube video.
I remember you texting me about it when I was in a Taco Bell parking lot late for a guild clock that was supposed to be live like 20 minutes earlier. So I looked at it on my phone, I'm like, what the fuck is the Nomadic Man, Hazel? What are you sending me?
Don't worry about it. This felt like the kind of phenomenon that wouldn't have a creepypasta attached to it, which was why we placed it chronologically pretty late, as the video's kind of necessarily veering slightly out of strictly creepypasta and into more general internet horror stuff. In my mind, it kind of fills both the space of something like Saki Sanabashi. Again, I can't believe people thought it was real for as long as they did. And then also the fucking cursed Japanese Kleenex commercial. Yeah. Another one of people just like willingly lying to themselves.
Yeah, because people love to scare themselves.
Because they do. I think it really is innate to human nature.
Yeah, I think a very funny thing is that like lost episodes were such a huge part of early creepypasta, and then those died off as everyone noticed that they were kind of lame. And then people were like, okay, but what about the real ones? What about lost media? And then lost media became the name of the game for internet horror.
Yeah.
I remember I was in one of the initial Saki Sanabashi search discords back when it was still called Go for a Punch, and like I don't think I ever believed it, but it was fun nonetheless. And that is like the emotional core of a lot of that to me.
I kept a distant eye on the search for a long time because I knew that there were going to be a bunch of false leads that would wind up with me finding a bunch of
cool anime.
Additional cool anime and manga.
Yeah, I remember transcribing some like fake episode summaries that people put in that Discord. It was like a 6-part OVA. It was called like Murder Girls. And I was like, as I was typing it into my phone, I was like, this isn't real, but it's fun to pretend.
So the fake film poster,
right,
and the fake hike stream, are both just images that were taken from the trip to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, like
that I took.
We were shooting video and taking pictures like basically every hour of that trip.
Yeah. So there was a lot to use. Also in this section, we used some footage of May's basement.
Yes.
For a fake ARG.
The beers.
I already forgot what the name of the what was it, like Quiet Day?
Yeah, Quiet Day.
The name of the
Quiet
ARG?
Day, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. No, other way around. The beers is the group of people who made it.
Yes,
Quiet Day is the name of the ARG.
I can't believe we got 2 front-bottom references into this video.
That was total accident.
I know.
I just needed
I
literally
had one
anything.
and you had one.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about our friend Neelan?
I would love to talk about our friend Neelan from fucking Neelan. So Neelan played
Neelan,
Green
our dear
Grub,
friend Neelan.
played Green Grub. And Green Grub, who is like a that type of guy. You all know who the fuck that type of guy Green Grub is. Like the guy that makes videos on like internet esoterica and is like, hey, what's good with this? Here's the Reddit post it came from. So Green Grub, that name comes from a story that Neelan told us once, where he wrote into Nintendo Power in like 2011, 2012, when they were asking about like people's hopes for the 3DS. And he talked about being excited to see Samus in 3D. And the way he wrote it had like an accidental innuendo about like Samus style action or whatever the fuck. So Nintendo punched it up, and in the process,
the Samus style action in 3D was what they
punched it up
added.
into. Yeah. They punched up his words, and in the process, removed his name.
Yeah, because he presumably sent his full name.
Yeah, he sent it in under Neelan, and they changed it to fucking Green Grub, so he couldn't even prove to his friends that he was in Nintendo Power. And he sent us the most amazing pogs.
And it is so fucking funny.
He sent us the most amazing pogs.
Yeah, we asked without context, Neelan, can you please just send us some YouTuber reaction faces?
Yeah.
And look at that beautiful man.
Like for the Peeker origin, for the hike stream, which would have just been like a horror project in this universe, for the Nomadic Man, and he gave us like the 3 perfect YouTuber faces. Like I have been just dragging the transparent images into Photoshop and just like moving them up and down. He has the sauce.
So similar to drifloontheater, Green Grub isn't based on anyone in particular.
Just the type of guy.
I was trying to think about what kind of weird domino effects on society and on writings about art would occur in a world where monsters gradually become real as they are fed psychic power. Like, of course, our innate proclivity to gaze into the void would be doubly capitalized on in a world where gazing into the void makes the void bigger. So it was fun to write a criticism of a social issue that kind of doesn't exist. Like, not to the same degree that I'm talking about in that
Jeff
video.
the Killer does not become real because we're talking about him. But, like, talking about the Peeker does make him real. So, we've talked about foreshadowing a lot. This isn't all of it. This is not all of it. Like, stuff, we jokingly foreshadowed nearly every story in this video in, like, streams or tweets beforehand. I have a smile dog in Pokemon Fool's Gold named SHARETHIS and another one named Eleanor. I'm not slick. We talked about the Wishmaker pasta in the Pokemon Games from Another Universe stream. That stream is titled Pokemon Games from Another Universe. Like, we were not playing. We were just throwing that shit everywhere. Like, I tweeted about creaking door frames. I made sure to get the caution dog in one of the Craigslist dog thread. Hazel tweeted out a picture of the Peeker the other day.
Yeah, literally, like, nobody batted an eye at that. Like, when you tweeted about the creaking, everybody was immediately like, oh, little fucking
May.
ARG May. But when I posted about this image, which is literally just Alyssa holding up her phone that has a picture of an orange circle.
Yeah.
In the hallway, everyone was like,
That's
yeah,
Hazel.
whatever.
That's
Cool.
that's the thing that was in our house.
Yeah. I think I played it off a little too well, but I didn't want to like act afraid.
I have a bunch of stream thumbnails in the corner where stuff was hinted at. That's not all of them. There's like basically every stream that me and Hazel have been in the past 4 months has had some.
I literally
indirect
added a fourth
reference.
thumbnail to this. Like, I was stalling time a second ago because I was trying to get this image in before you moved to the slide.
Yeah, that's SHARETHIS.
Yeah.
And then literally today, I tweeted about fucking those dogs, just because I was like, yeah, that's kind of foreshadowing for the creepypasta video. Like a weird dog in your dreams becoming real, like hyperstition, etc., etc.
Dreams should just stay as dreams. What the fuck was that?
That was the peeker, I think.
I think it was the peeker.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun joking about this video, because in the Channel Awesome stream, we mentioned that we're working on a creepypasta video, but we did not say what it was about.
Yeah.
So, like, I've also tweeted about Jeff the Killer to, like, kind of bury the lead and be like, oh, yeah, I'm just looking into my friend Jeff the Killer. Who's Steven the Sticher? Who is that? But yeah, it's been very fun to hint at our video without saying, hey, this is what the video is about. There's the peeker.
Back to fucking drifloontheater. Yeah, that is the black mold alien mask.
Yeah. I washed it in the tub recently, and that's why its eyes are missing. Because the mesh fell out.
Of course it did. So drifloontheater, like we're officially in like the last bit. I think that because hyperstition as a rhetorical or ideological concept is like kind of just silly to me, and like the guys who made it are fucking like insane freak weirdos.
Yeah.
They managed to completely miss the reality that hyperstition as like an emotional concept of giving power to things that upset us and sort of being further ruled by them is like
the point. That's what it is.
The point. That is the concept.
That is the way
like,
that things actually become real.
Yeah, exactly.
By letting them get to us.
Yeah. So the that was like something like we weren't even really thinking of it by that name as we were coming up with this, and I was like, I guess this is as close as we can get.
Yeah, it wasn't until
somebody
I
just
said
needs
the
to
word
invent a
psychic power that hyperstition was said. Like it.
Yeah.
It was kind of what we were operating on, but not. It wasn't the word or the framework that we were using.
Yeah. So the whole idea that we had with drifloontheater's disappearance was we wanted to sort of posit this like AU that we've created as though it is quote unquote better on the surface. Like there's no Slenderman stabbing. The copyright issues that were going on with the Gabbit story did not cause a sudden shift where everybody moved away from creepypasta. It just hurt that story.
Yeah, but I really liked the idea of it looking better on the face and then being 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Having real bodies and harm, like in a way that it was impossible in the real world.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I just met eyes with the add me on Snap line.
I was on a fucking horror YouTuber Snapchat as a kid. It is so fucking true to life.
No YouTuber should have a Snapchat.
No
they make
YouTuber
public.
should have a Snapchat.
No good.
No good.
Nothing, has anything good ever come from that? I doubt it. I really doubt it. But
I love the idea that he called them Floon Nation.
Yeah, it sounds so awful.
Yeah.
Like it's got horrible mouthfeel.
Yeah. I also just had that picture of Wyatt floating around and I was like, oh, that would be in an ARG / maybe a real disappearance. Like that would be fun to put in the video.
Yeah.
This fucking image. This is the picture of the peeker that I took the LED light for. And yeah, hyperstition. The concept is inherently super fucking silly and stupid, but I really like the emotional core of it. I've been like super super, super drawn always by the idea of someone scaring their fears into reality, kind of reveling in what should be left behind, or like something that you think about once and don't really come back to, but like really stewing in those feelings or in those ideas until it becomes something that can actually hurt you, something that is real. And that, like fire, has been lit by 1,000 different things in my mind that are all doing different things with the concept. Like Everyman Hybrid is very explicit, like, hey, stop fucking recording. And like that making them real. The movie Nope is very tenuously linked to that, but the idea of seeing something that you should just look away from and being unable to look away and it becoming real because of it, that really captured me. I have not played Persona 2. Earthbound Voice, it's one of my favorite video games. The idea of being able to like put a rumor out there and the spread of that rumor turning it into reality is like the perfect concept to me. So I was so glad I could finally take that like emotional stew that was boiling up in my body and like throwing my hat into the ring, showing what I have to think or say about this concept. And of course what I have to say is the idea that the Peaker has a warrant for his fucking arrest because he's a real thing now, because I guess if the Peaker was real, someone would have to try to arrest the Peaker, I guess. And being able to be deliberately super fucking silly with that concept, but still play in the same grooves that my inspirations did, was super fun. I loved making this whole section.
In the edit, we are playing very like reserved about what we're willing to show.
Yeah.
But there are a few moments where through all the censorship, it is almost like willingly like snapped out.
Yes.
As though the image is being like compelled to be shown, to confront the audience with things that we're not even comfortable confronting them with. All right, Coffee, I'm ready for the big reveal.
Oh yeah, let's fucking show this hog.
Yeah, May, you're gonna want to unmute for this at least.
Hang on. Show your screen. Turn on camera. This is me.
Oh,
I look terrible.
Yes!
I look so bad.
Oh my god!
So is this the vision?
Yes, of course.
Is this exactly the vision? Good.
Yes, it's the vision.
Oh my god, it's so perfect. So Coffee fucking killed it.
Yeah, he is.
The
funniest fucking man in the world.
The fucking makeup, like he like would not show us the makeup
until we saw it in that clip.
Until the cameras were rolling.
Yeah.
And we like watched him like find the voice for this character of
Derek Poppers.
Derek B. Poppers.
Derek motherfucking Poppers.
And kind of watching him find that was like real movie magic happening right in front of my eyes.
On that call, we were like, okay, here's Derek, here's your character, oh my god, your makeup. And then we had a brief moment where we're like, oh fuck, we need to make a profile picture for this guy.
Yeah.
So I had just gotten all of the new Marcy assets for all of my current profile pictures. And she did like a cool collage of the rose background in my Twitter profile picture. And I was like, that kind of looks like blood. I'll put Derek B. Poppers in front of it, and it'll be his profile picture. So like kind of on the spot, unfurling the character of Derek B. Poppers in front of us as we're trying to make this happen was so fun. Coffee found the voice immediately. Like he was given the notes of, hey, we need you for a line. It's gonna be like a journalist's little thing that YouTube videos do where they play like a clip from an interview to show what they talked about. And I gave him literally just the notes. Guy that wears makeup in his YouTube videos to kind of pretend that he's playing a character. And he rocked it with the most shitty dollar store makeup he could find.
Yeah.
Like it looks bad in a good way.
Yeah,
it's like
he was saying toward the end
face.
like that he had to get it off like as soon as possible because it was like already damaging his skin.
Yeah.
So he suffered for art.
He suffered for our art. Art.
So originally the idea that we had for this video was that reality was fractured from the both of us, as in we are both in alternate universes of each other's that we don't, until we don't know what was true anymore. Originally the idea, when we were first conceptualizing Share This, before we just rolled it into like me having a blank year, the idea was going to be that I didn't know the story
because it wasn't real
because
for you.
It wasn't real for me. But as we continued to kind of build on these ideas more and more, it became pretty clear that building to the reality of that they're all becoming real was
much more fun.
Was the way to do it. Yeah, it was really fun. Writing that and narrating it came very naturally.
Yes, it was so fun. Just like act something out at the end of the video.
Yeah, so the ritual of truths pasta, that was a name you came up with,
yes,
right?
Yes, because so Hazel tell us her story about the beam of light, and I was like,
which is a real story.
Yeah. I originally had I originally called back to my thing in the intro about making a friend watch me play Pokemon for an hour, but then I was like, oh, we don't have a ritual pasta, and I totally almost forced my friends to do ritual pastas with me before. What's a ritual pasta sounding name? Ritual of Truths? And it just kind of felt right immediately. Like, I really liked the joke of I fucking bought 1 billion fucking pounds of salt for some stupid ritual pasta.
Yeah.
I loved the idea of us like kind of looking our fears in the face and being like, we can joke our way out of this. We can like give it less power by talking about
that
it.
Is I'm still not really sure how clear the idea there is, where essentially like we come to the realization in that moment that if something as offhand as the creaking noise is like dropped from the story, or from like the cultural idea of the peaker, like why could I not then introduce another element to this story that would then have to become real?
Yes.
You know? So that was where the idea of being like
what if we could disarm them by telling the story again?
Yeah, and sort of, yeah, exactly. So that was that was how that happened.
It was also fun to say the Watcher again.
The realization that it was fake and that we could just be done because it's fake is inspired in part by whenever I have dreams that I'm back in high school, you know, those dreams that everybody has where it's like, oh my god, I didn't finish my degree, I gotta go back. Every single time I have one of those dreams and class is about to start, my brain panics and goes, I don't know how to make a convincing looking like class experience. Like, you don't remember what high school was like.
So it's not real. Yeah.
So it's not real. So you just have to wake up. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, thank God, I don't have to fucking suffer through fake class.
You don't have to go to CA12 again. It felt just like the perfect way to end the video. Like, just being like, oh, this is all fake.
Yeah.
This is all fake. And then be able to just talk about the shit that like made this video happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of...
yeah, so I feel like internet horror has never been better. People talk about like the creepypasta era as being like a golden age. I think that we are in it right now.
Yes, I think my favorite, that ending monologue that we both have, but I think I take most of the narration on, was half written by Hazel, half written by me. But I think it is like the Sesame Street look into the camera, this is the moral of the story. But I think it's very needed because I needed to say it. Like, I don't feel like internet horror has ever been in a better space. And I think there's so many parts of it that we just kind of dropped as we were moving on, assuming that it was something that like we didn't need to come back to. There are so many important stories that were just never circled back upon given their time in the sun. And it was so fun to kind of like honor those stories in a way and be like, yeah, there are so many stories that didn't become part of the cultural voice that maybe should have been. And maybe we can make new stories that kind of fill in their place, you know?
Yeah, yeah. like find a way for their legacy to be felt retroactively.
Yeah.
And either that is by being influenced by them or by going back and not only reevaluating them, but resurfacing them and giving them the full context that we now feel is almost sort of intrinsic to our understanding of the big name creepypastas.
Yeah, I think a lot of I think the three like core moments where I realized I needed to make this video or I was gonna feel like I was missing a chance to say something I had to came from reading the Kill Switch website and finding those other pastas. It came from watching the first two Lacey parts and being like, oh, the fire's still burning. Of course it's still burning.
Yeah.
And just like that Crick video was like, oh my god, there are three different points that all go three different directions that all immediately succinctly say, this is why I've always loved creepypasta.
Yeah.
I had so much fun making this video, and I had so much fun. Hopefully this video plugs the people that we wanted it to plug. I hope more people check out Crick. I really do. He is the blueprint.
And I hope a lot of people check out the Gmod stream too.
The Gmod stream was like life-changing for us.
Yeah. And you know what? We finished this video all but what we're doing now in the last pass on the edit, which I'll do in a couple days. Like a couple of weeks ago, we have still been working literally every single day together on more shit that is coming.
Yes.
You know, May might finish the Peeker story, might not, a little up in the air.
Yeah.
But there are going to be a bunch of readings of some stories that we wrote or people that we know wrote, and then May's probably just going to do one or two extra ones that she likes.
Ones that kind of grabbed me in the same way that the Red Man
Yeah.
creepypasta did, or
Yeah.
Wishmaker does.
Oh, and also, we're still going to be doing a Patreon questions thing.
Yeah, it might take a bit, but we're doing it.
Yeah. I figure that will be, since we're recording this before the video goes live, that will be the chance for us to really figure out what things we need to either iterate clearer or, like, just otherwise clarify.
Yeah. Are we going to be recording that one in person or no?
We'll see. We'll see.
I want to add a quick little note about the Wishmaker reading that's going to be going up on this channel. We have been struggling to find a British person for like a week now.
We don't know anybody British.
We don't know who is going to be the voice that you hear in that video.
Yeah, for because we're having different people voice every character in the the Wishmaker story, and Dex. If I had known, I never would have made that motherfucker British.
Like spiritually, he would still be British, but like we don't know British people.
Yeah, so we're probably just going to have to find some random other friend of ours who is not British to fulfill that role.
Yeah, and then lastly, because we have been so busy, like 8-hour calls every fucking day for like 2 weeks now, we're also working on something pretty cool in the background.
Yeah, we're working on